Chapter 1545. Central Region, Hidden Dragon Fortress, South Stand. Prince Consort. Looking at Yu Haoran, who slowly landed on the South Stand, Qin Lingfei, who had already broken down several times in her heart, did not care about the tens of thousands of people present at all. She directly threw herself into the arms of her lover, who made her worried. Ling Fei, I'm really sorry for making you worry. After more than 2 years of knowing each other and being together as husband and wife for several months, he could know what Qin Lingfei was thinking with just a look and a movement. Under the gazes of everyone present, she was able to give up the girl's modesty and directly embrace him. This was sufficient to show that his action of facing the boundless lightning tribulation earlier had brought unimaginable psychological impact and pressure to her, and this caused Yu Haoran to be unable to help but take the initiative to apologize while feeling guilty. Prince Consort, since the first day I met you, Ling Fei knew that you were someone who was obsessed with martial arts. She also knew that you were someone who was willing to give up everything in order to pursue the peak of martial arts. After hearing Yu Haoran's self-blaming apology, Qin Lingfei raised her head to look at her lover's determined face and said emotionally, "Therefore, Ling Fei does not regret her original choice and will respect and support all of your decisions. Now and in the future, you don't have to apologize to Ling Fei." Ling Fei. With a wife like this, what more could a husband ask for? Facing Qin Lingfei's understanding comfort and support, the touched Yu Haoran did not know what to say and could only hug her even more tightly. Ahem. Although she was very envious of the strong feelings between Yu Haoran and Qin Lingfei, Zhongli Shuiqin could only use a light cough to remind them to restrain their emotions a little when she thought that there were more important things to say next. Zhongli Shuiqin's light cough made Yu Haoran and Qin Lingfei gradually calm down from their emotional state. He reached out to hold Qin Lingfei's jade hand and then led her to Yusiki. Yu Haoran also blamed himself and apologized. "Sis, I'm sorry for making you worry. Crippling one's own cultivation in the face of endless lightning tribulations would not only cause shock and speculation among the crowd, it would also make one's family and friends very worried." As a result, when he crippled his cultivation, Yu Haoran had glanced at a few of his family and friends on the stands to the south. He also knew that his sister wanted to charge into the endless lightning tribulation to save him, but Zhongli Shuiqin stopped her in time. To be able to willingly die for him under the influence of the Heartless Realm, Yu Haoran had a feeling in his heart that his sister might be able to surpass the Grand Supremes of the Middle Ages and become the first person to break through the Heartless Realm and advance to the Emotionless Realm. Yusiki coldly glanced at Yu Haoran and reminded him with a frosty voice, "Only this once, don't do it again." Yu Haoran smiled nonchalantly and led Qin Lingfei to the sword without trace. "Without trace, give me a period of time to adjust, I will give you a satisfactory promise." Looking at the sword without trace, whose eyes were filled with infinite tenderness, but who still abided by her duties, Yu Haoran, who had just undergone a metamorphosis, had some changes in his view of relationships. However, if he wanted to truly accept the sword without trace, he still needed a period of time to adjust and adapt, so he could only give his promise for now. To the sword without trace, Yu Haoran's promise was the most wonderful and blissful thing in her life, so she nodded and replied with even more tenderness in her eyes. "Junior brother Yu, I will wait for your promise for the rest of my life." Yu Haoran still didn't dare to open the door to accepting the sword without trace's feelings. The dissatisfied Qin Lingfei took the initiative to shake off his tightly clenched hand, then walked in front of the sword without trace and softly persuaded and promised something. Yu Haoran didn't care about this, nor did he want to eavesdrop. He turned around and walked in front of Wu Xingjun and Zhongli Shuiqin. "Miss Shuiqin, you must tell me the truth now. Do you like Xingjun or do you love Xingjun deeply?" Yu Haoran asked Zhongli Shuiqin as he lightly patted Wu Xingjun's shoulder, indicating that he shouldn't speak for now. "Of course I love Xiaojun deeply." Zhongli Shuiqin immediately replied without the slightest hesitation. If that's the case, as Jingjuan's senior brother and brother, I agree to the relationship between you two. From Zhongli Shuiqin's attitude of answering without hesitation, Yu Haoran already knew her feelings for Wu Jingjun. Now, he had the confidence to confront Emperor Wu with the strength of a powerful expert, which also allowed him to confront the pressure of the Zhongli family and the Guardian families. Therefore, Yu Haoran not only nodded to agree to their relationship, but also took the initiative to make a promise for Wu Jingjun. At the same time, 1 year from today, I will bring Jingjun to the mansion of the Zhongli family and formally propose marriage to your father. Really? Zhongli Shuiqin asked in disbelief. I, Yu Haoran, am a man of my words and actions. After answering Zhongli Shuiqin's question in a domineering manner, Yu Haoran looked at Kang Yong'a, whose eyes were slightly red and evasive. Jingyao, the prince's mansion will always be your home, and the Heart Affinity Pavilion will always be your courtyard. Yu Shixiaongai. When she heard Yu Haoran's promise, Kang Yong'a, who was slightly stunned, burst into tears and wanted to say something, but in the end, she could not say anything. Jingyao, in Yu Shixiang's heart, you will always be my sister who needs to be protected. Walking to Kang Yong'a's side, Yu Haoran helped her tidy up the scattered bangs on her forehead, and officially gave the final position of their future relationship. Sister forever? Looking at Yu Haoran, who turned and left, Kang Yong'a, whose eyes were instantly replaced by bitterness, suddenly felt disheartened and shook her head. Then, she used the means of telepathy to communicate with Wind-tailed Fox on her shoulder. Xiaofeng, after this matter is over, we will immediately set off for the Tomb of Heaven at the Fengling Cliff. If we don't succeed, Emperor Wu will never leave the Tomb of Heaven. Squeak! Wind-tailed Fox reached out its small claws and gently touched Kang Yong'a's cheek, and comforted her with its eyes full of worry. Xiaofeng, I'm fine. Kang Yong'a stretched out her fingers and touched Wind-tailed Fox's head, and said with a forced smile. After turning and leaving Kang Yong'a, Yu Haoran cupped his hands and asked Yuan Sangqiong, who was at the top of the stands, Master Yuan, I wonder if the medicinal materials for refining the demon soul attraction pill have been prepared? During the competition, he had already fulfilled his promise to An Yufei, so there was no need to exchange for the materials for refining the Fighting Star Stepping Formation flag through alchemy. At the same time, he also needed to follow Thaling to the valley between the eastern region and the central region as soon as possible to find the space crystal. Chapter 1546. In the stands of the Hidden Dragon Fortress in the central region. I've been ready for a long time. Even though Yu Haoran had gone through endless thunder tribulations and possessed strength that was not inferior to his, he still intended to fulfill his promise with him immediately. This made Yuan Sangqiong more convinced of his character, and he immediately got up and responded with a smile. Since everything is ready, I'll open the furnace and refine the pill for you now. Nodding to indicate that he would fulfill his promise immediately, Yu Haoran directly flew to the arena in the square. Elixir Emperor Yu, please wait a moment. Yu Haoran suddenly agreed to her relationship with Wu Jingjun, and even promised that he would come and propose marriage a year later. This made Zhongli Shuiqin feel incomparably excited and pleasantly surprised. At the same time, she also forgot the important thing she wanted to tell the other party. It was not until Yu Haoran rose into the air and flew to the arena in the square to refine the heavenly demon soul-attracting pill for Yuan Sangqiong that she suddenly recovered and hurriedly urged him to stay. Miss Shuiqin, what's the matter? Yu Haoran did not return to the stands, but turned to look at Zhongli Shuiqin and asked. The 2 clan leaders of the Shang clan and the Zhou clan, as well as the 5 supreme elders of the Third Tribulation Emperor Wu realm, will arrive in about 5 minutes at most. You must leave the Hidden Dragon Fortress in the central region immediately, Zhongli Shuiqin reminded him with a solemn expression. Zhongli Shuiqin's reminder made Yuan Sangqiong, who was also flying to the arena in the square, change his expression, and a trace of hesitation appeared in his eyes. Let them come then. After hearing Zhongli Shuiqin's reminder, Yu Haoran replied calmly and flew to the arena in the square. Then, he looked at Yuan Sangqiong, who was floating in the stands. Without any fortuitous encounters, he would be able to smoothly advance to the martial emperor realm in 7 or 8 months at most. Therefore, his need for the heavenly demon's remnant thought that was guided and refined by Thaling was not so strong. If Yuan Sangqiong did not want to continue refining the Stage 2 Grade 1 Heavenly Demon Soul Attraction Pill, he would not have any objections. Alchemy Emperor Yu, don't worry about refining the Heavenly Demon Soul Attraction Pill. No matter what trouble you encounter, I, Yuan Sangqiong, will bear it. After seeing Yu Haoran's calm gaze, Yuan Sangqiong suddenly felt ashamed. As the sect master of the Heavenly Demonic Sect, and one of the top experts in the profound sky continent, why was it that when he heard that there were a few opponents who were at the level of Third Calamity Quasi-Emperor Wu, his heart was filled with fear and thoughts of retreating? How could he still have the confidence to compete in the Battle of Mount Tai 3 years later? Yuan Sangqiong, who had regained his confidence, instantly appeared in the arena. He took out the pre-agreed reward and the 2 sets of medicinal herbs needed to refine the Heavenly Demon Soul-Attracting Elixir. He patted his chest and promised. After receiving the reward and medicinal herbs from Yuan Sangqiong, Yu Haoran replied indifferently, "The experts from the Shang clan and the Zhou clan are here to cause trouble for me, Yu Haoran. I don't need Sect Master Yuan's help." Then, he sat cross-legged on the arena and closed his eyes to carefully recall the formula and refining process of the Stage 2 Grade 1 Heavenly Demon Soul-Attracting Elixir. His 10 fingers quickly performed the pill condensation technique to condense the independent space of the elixir fire. Perhaps it was because of the transformation of his cultivation base and strength that the pill condensation technique had improved. At this moment, the independent space of the elixir fire could no longer be seen. It was like a Danteon fire floating independently in the air. After the independent space of the elixir fire was completely condensed, Yu Haoran began to throw medicinal herbs into the elixir fire according to the pill formula of the Heavenly Demon Soul-Attracting Elixir. The refining process of the Stage 2 Grade 1 Heavenly Demon Soul-Attracting Elixir was simple and time-saving. The only troublesome thing was that many alchemists at the peak of the Alchemy Grandmaster realm were unable to refine it, mainly because of how to refine the clear reincarnation fruit as the main ingredient. For Yu Haoran, who comprehended the law of life and death, refining the clear reincarnation fruit was no different from refining ordinary medicinal herbs. It only took him 2 minutes and 43 seconds to refine the 9 medicinal herbs needed to refine the Stage 2 Grade 1 Heavenly Demon Soul-Attracting Elixir. Without the slightest delay, his 10 fingers formed the pill condensing technique of the Nihility pill condensing technique. After using the law of life and death to envelop the samsara force in the samsara clear fruit liquid, it took less than 3 minutes to successfully complete the process of condensing the pill. Since the elixir refined and condensed by the pill condensation technique did not need to go through the process of nourishing, Yu Haoran only paused for a second before he continued to perform the method of dividing the elixir. Within 20 seconds, he successfully divided 9 elixirs. Watching Yu Haoran refine the elixir as smoothly as moving clouds and flowing water, the countless powerhouses present, who were witnessing his refining process for the first time, were dumbfounded. As powerhouses of inherited families and top sects, the forces behind each person would deliberately nurture some alchemists. Almost every force had alchemists at the peak of the Alchemy Grandmaster realm. Alchemists at the peak of the Alchemy Grandmaster realm, even if they were refining the lowest level 10th grade pills, not only would they not be able to do it as casually as Yu Haoran, but they would also take more than a few minutes to refine the pills. Moreover, he was refining the Stage 2 Grade 1 Heavenly Demon Soul-Attracting Elixir. Gap. This is the gap in alchemy talent and comprehension. Sun Hongji, the great elder of the Sun clan of the eastern region, whose alchemy cultivation was infinitely close to the alchemy emperor realm, sighed with a complicated expression. Hearing Sun Hongji's sigh and looking at Yu Haoran in the arena, Bailey Pingsuan's eyes revealed a trace of hesitation. Although he had never really come into contact with Yu Haoran, the Bailey clan had always maintained a relatively friendly relationship with him because of the suppression of Shin Hokong. When he heard Zhongli Shuiqin mention that the clan leaders and great elders of the Shang and Zhou clans had joined forces to rush over, Bailey Pingsuan's first reaction was to stand by and watch. However, when he saw Yu Haoran's alchemy ability at this moment and thought of the Bailey clan's war god, who was seriously injured and in a deep slumber, Bailey Pingsuan changed his mind. This was because if the war god of the Bailey clan wanted to wake up from his deep slumber and regain the strength to contend for hegemony in the world, he would need two very special top-notch elixirs. As for these two special pills, ordinary alchemy emperors were unable to refine them at all. Only alchemy geniuses like Yu Haoran, who were rarely seen in tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years, could refine them. If he wanted Yu Haoran to refine these two special elixirs, it was definitely not enough to tempt him with benefits. He was afraid that he would need to show the Bailey clan's sincerity. Thinking of this, Bailey Pingsuan's expression instantly became firm. He flew to the side of the arena and cupped his hands to Yuan Sangqiong to explain his intention. Chapter 1547. In the arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress in the Central Region. Elder Pingsuan, thank you. Yuan Sangqiong did not take the initiative to stand up at the beginning. He only appeared after Yu Haoran showed his alchemy skills that even shocked himself. How could Yuan Sangqiong not guess his thoughts? Likewise, although Bailey Pingsuan's cultivation was only at the second tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu realm, he had the bloodline of Bailey's ancestor, the god of war bloodline. He could temporarily possess the strength of a third tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu through the means of transforming into a god of war. Therefore, in the face of Yuan Sangqiong's slight mockery, he was not afraid at all. Having one more helper to deal with, the Shang clan and Zhou clan experts could reduce some of the pressure on him. Yuan Sangqiong did not care about Bailey Pingsuan's tough counterattack and smiled. As the elixir in the independent space in the Dantian was successfully divided into 9 elixirs, the 9 elixirs began to gather and devour the scattered demonic energy through the power of attraction. The temperature in the entire Hidden Dragon Fortress suddenly dropped a lot. At the same time, a trace of tempting and disturbing power began to affect countless experts in the surrounding stands. Calm your qi and concentrate your mind. Use your yuanli to block the invasion of the demonic energy, and your mind will not be disturbed. Sun Hongji, who was at the peak of alchemy grandmaster realm, carefully understood the function of the demonic energy and reminded everyone in the surrounding stands loudly. Fortunately, the martial artists with the lowest cultivation present were all experts in the martial sage realm. Therefore, after hearing Sun Hongji's reminder, they immediately used their powerful strength to block the demonic energy, and no one lost their composure or embarrassed themselves. Yu Haoran, how dare you kill my Shang clan clansman? You'll pay with your life. Just as everyone was paying attention to the 9 demonic soul-attracting elixirs in the independent space in the alchemy fire in the air, a deafening roar suddenly sounded. Accompanied by the deafening roar, a figure approached from afar and appeared above the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress as fast as lightning. Back off! Yuan Sangqiong, who immediately rose into the air, reprimanded with a fierce look. Brother Sangqiong, this is still a personal grudge between my Shang clan and Yu Haoran. I hope that you can give me some face and not interfere in this matter. Just as Yuan Sangqiong's voice fell, several figures also appeared above the square at lightning speed. Subsequently, a middle-aged man who was about 40 years old and wore a 9-clawed purple-gold dragon robe with an extraordinary aura asked in a relatively polite tone. No! In the face of the middle-aged man's request, Yuan Sangqiong flatly refused without even considering it. Brother Sangqiong, could it be that your heavenly demon sect really wants to declare war on our Shang clan? Yuan Sangqiong's firm rejection caused the middle-aged man in the purple-gold dragon robe to threaten him with a gloomy expression. And our Zhou clan. Just as the middle-aged man in the purple-gold dragon robe threatened, Zhou Yu's also appeared above the square with two supreme elders of the Zhou clan's third tribulation Quasi-Emperor Wu. They also cooperated with the middle-aged man in the purple-gold dragon robe to threaten Yuan Sangqiong. Brother Haoyang, Brother Yu's, it's not that I don't want to give face to your Shang clan and Zhou clan. It's just that Elixir Emperor Yu is refining a very important elixir for me at this moment and cannot be disturbed. If it was just facing the Shang clan or Zhou clan alone, Yuan Sangqiong was not afraid of their threats of declaring war through their clans and sections. However, in the face of the alliance of the two clans, Yuan Sangqiong did not dare to ignore the other party's threat given the current situation of the heavenly demon sect being attacked from both sides. In desperation, he could only temporarily put away his arrogant attitude and explain in a polite tone. Of course, if Shang Haoyang and Zhou Yu's dared to destroy the heavenly demon's soul attraction elixir that Yu Haoran was refining, Yuan Sangqiong would not hesitate to declare war on the two clans at the same time. The demonic energy gathered and attracted by the 9 elixirs in the independent space of the elixir fire is about to end. At most, it will take 2 to 3 minutes for the elixir to be refined successfully. After hearing Yuan Sangqiong's explanation, Zhou Yu's, who was slightly proficient in elixir Dao, carefully observed the 9 elixirs in the independent space of the elixir fire, then explained and suggested to Shang Haoyang. Brother Haoyang, why don't we give face to Brother Sangqiong and give Yu Haoran another 2 to 3 minutes to live? Alright. Yuan Sangqiong was not only the sect master of the heavenly demon sect, but also one of the top experts in the Tianxian continent. If they wanted to deal with him, they would need at least 3 to 4 supreme elders who were at the level of third calamity Quasi-Emperor Wu. Moreover, they might not be able to completely trap him. Therefore, after some consideration, Shang Haoyang nodded in agreement. We'll do as Brother Yu says. Thank you. Seeing that Shang Haoyang and Shang Yu's were willing to give him face and agree to wait for Yu Haoran to finish refining the elixir before taking action, Yuan Sangqiong secretly heaved a sigh of relief and thanked them with cupped fists. Sister Sui Jin, not only are you powerful, but the family behind you is even more mysterious and powerful. Ling Fei begs you to help the prince consort now, will you? Seeing that Yuan Sangqiong, who had made a solemn vow before refining the elixir, had betrayed Yu Haoran in the blink of an eye, Qin Lingfei hated him to the core and had no choice but to look at Zhongli Shuiqin for help. Ling Fei, it's not that I don't want to help, but before Elixir Emperor Yu refined the elixir, he used his divine thought to warn me not to interfere in his feud with the Shang clan. He also ordered me not to leave your side. Otherwise, he wouldn't care about me and Xiao Jun anymore, Zhongli Shuiqin explained with a bitter smile in response to Qin Lingfei's request. What does the prince consort want to do? To prevent the powerful and mysterious Zhongli Shuiqin from helping, Yu Haoran's arrangement completely confused Qin Lingfei. He didn't allow Zhongli Shuiqin to interfere because those 7 fellows are no match for Xiao Ran. Perhaps it was because Taishang Wang Qing was about to advance to a new realm that Yusiki was barely affected by kinship, so she couldn't help but explain to Qin Lingfei, who was at a loss. He didn't allow Zhongli Shuiqin to leave the stands because Xiao Ran is worried that someone with bad intentions would try to threaten him by capturing you. The prince consort is already so powerful. After hearing Yusiki's explanation, Qin Lingfei asked in disbelief. Today's Qin Lingfei was no longer the little girl who had never left Xianyang City and was only a beginner martial saint. After the second Hidden Dragon ranking battle, the few trials in the secret realms, and the period of seclusion after the Hidden Dragon ranking battle in the southern region, Emperor Qin had completely opened the Sutra Depository to her, allowing her to truly understand the situation of the entire Tianxian continent and the power and terror of the inherited families. Chapter 1548. Central Region, Hidden Dragon Fortress, Grandstand. After hearing Yusiki explain why Yu Haoran did not allow her to leave the stands, Zhongli Shuiqin's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. When she saw the cold and heartless aura exuding from Yusiki's body, her surprise was instantly replaced by doubt. Firstly, as a top powerhouse who was about to reach the level of Emperor Wu, she couldn't accurately sense Yu Haoran's true strength. Then, how did Yusiki, who had just advanced to the early stage of a 9th-grade martial venerable, know that Yu Haoran had the strength to deal with 7 top powerhouses? Secondly, the cold and heartless aura that Yusiki exuded was a unique aura that she had never seen or understood before. Since the Eternal Green Supreme Ancestor had the habit of collecting all kinds of secrets of the continent, the Zhongli clan had kept this habit until now. Therefore, the clan's Hidden Scriptures Pavilion recorded all the secrets of the continent from the Middle Ages, recent ages, and the present. Zhongli Shuiqin, who had read the records of the Hidden Scriptures Pavilion, didn't know the specific origin of Yusiki's cold and heartless aura. How could she not be confused? Yu Haoran ignored the arrival of the 7 powerhouses from the Shang clan and Zhou clan above the square, nor was he angry because of Yuan Sangqiong's betrayal. He observed the 9 elixirs in the independent space of the elixir fire and considered whether he should use the palm technique or the fist technique to fight the enemy. As the traction force formed by the 9 elixirs gradually weakened, the demonic energy gathered in the independent space of the elixir fire became less and less. Yu Haoran stopped and stood up directly. He rubbed his index and middle fingers together. Pa! With a loud and clear snap, the independent space of the elixir fire was instantly withdrawn and the Dantian fire quickly returned to the Dantian. The rank 2 first-grade Heavenly Demon Soul Attraction Elixir was only used to summon the remnant soul of the dead Heavenly Demon. It was neither a forbidden elixir nor had any special heaven-defying effect, so it didn't need to go through the baptism of lightning. He waved his hand at the 9 milky white pills in the air, and the 9 pills obediently fell into the pill bottle that he had prepared beforehand. Yu Haoran took out a pill from the pill bottle and gave it a quick check. He nodded with satisfaction. He reminded Yuan Sangqiong with an indifferent expression after he put the elixir back into the elixir bottle. He wrapped the elixir bottle with his primary energy and brought it to Yuan Sangqiong. Sect Master Yuan, check it again. Yuan Sangqiong didn't feel the slightest bit embarrassed because he had just turned hostile. He reached out and took the pill bottle. He poured out the 9 pills in the pill bottle and carefully inspected them. Finally, he nodded with satisfaction and thanked him. Pill Emperor Yu, the quality of the 9 demonic soul attraction pills is not bad. Many thanks. Everyone has their own needs. Yu Haoran shook his head and replied casually. Then, he turned around and instructed Bailey Pingtsuan, who had a nervous expression on his face. Elder Bailey, you can go back now. Bailey Pingtsuan misunderstood that Yu Haoran thought that his cultivation was too low, so he quickly explained, Pill Emperor Yu, don't think that my cultivation is only at the level of a second tribulation quasi-emperor Emperor Wu. I can help you stall 2 opponents at the level of a third tribulation quasi-emperor Emperor Wu. Senior Bailey, 3 months later, I will be cultivating in the prince's mansion for a period of time. If the Bailey clan needs to refine some elixirs, you can come to me directly with the herbs needed for refining the elixirs. Bailey Pingtsuan risked his life to help him fend off the experts from the Shang clan and Zhou clan in hopes of gaining his gratitude and refining some precious elixirs for them. Therefore, after Yu Haoran promised to refine the elixirs, he continued to ask Bailey Pingtsuan to return to the stone chair in the stand. All right. Seeing how resolute Yu Haoran was in rejecting his help and had even promised to refine the elixirs, Bailey Pingtsuan didn't continue to insist and nodded. Then, he flew back to the front of the stone chair in the stands. However, he didn't immediately return to the stone chair. Instead, he activated the Bailey clan's war god bloodline and prepared to help at any time. With a wave of his sleeve, Yu Haoran directly flew into the air. His gaze swept across the 7 experts from the Shang clan and Zhou clan. His gaze finally stopped on Zhou Yu's as he spoke with a complicated expression. Clan leader Zhou, seeing that you once personally attended the wedding of Princess Ling Fei and I, Haoran will give you a piece of advice. Oh, I wonder what kind of advice the Great Pill Emperor Yu, Formation Emperor Yu, and Guanjuan Yu would like to give this clan leader? Zhou Yu asked mockingly, ignoring Yu Haoran's goodwill. Cut off all unrealistic conspiracies and tricks, then seal the clan for 100 years. Yu Haoran wasn't angry at all because of Zhou Yu's mockery. He still gave his own advice with a complicated expression, or rather, a kind advice that could protect the bloodline of the Zhou clan. Seal the clan for 100 years. After hearing Yu Haoran's advice, Zhou Yu couldn't help but laugh out loud. Ha. After laughing for nearly 30 seconds, Zhou Yu suddenly stopped laughing. His eyes were filled with hatred as he roared. You stole my Zhou clan's treasure, the celestial slashing sword, destroyed my daughter's divine body, killed my Zhou clan's supreme elder, and now, you want me to seal the clan for 100 years. Do you really think that my Zhou clan is a pushover that you can pinch and step on as you like? This advice is only for the sake of our past relationship. As for whether you listen to it or not, it's up to you, Zhou Yu. After continuing to ignore Zhou Yu's roaring and questioning, Yu Haoran simply expressed his attitude and looked at Yuan Sangqiong, who was standing next to Shang Haoyang, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. Master Yuan, do you want to join forces with the Shang clan and the Zhou clan to deal with me? Don't misunderstand, Pill Emperor Yu. There's no enmity between us. Why would I join forces with others to deal with you? Yuan Sangqiong waved his hand to show that he had no ill intentions and immediately returned to the stone chair in the stands. However, he could also feel the strong disdain, mockery, and fear in the eyes of the crowd. He didn't care at all and directly sat back on the stone chair, not regretting what he had done. Do it. After Yuan Sangqiong left, Yu Haoran withdrew his hands behind his back and ordered the 7 people in front of him indifferently. Yu Haoran, if you are willing to become a servant of my Shang clan for 100 years, this clan head might consider sparing your little life and allow you to continue living while at death's door. Shang Haoyang raised his hand to signal the supreme elder behind him to stop and said in a condescending tone. Shang Jie, who has no sense of propriety, justice, integrity, and honor, Shang Baijian, who is good at adding insult to injury, Shang Jinlin, who is shameless, and you, Shang Haoyang, who is a dog. The indifference in Yu Haoran's eyes was gradually replaced by disdain as he mocked sharply. Chapter 1549. Above the hidden dragon fortress in the central region. Yu Haoran, you deserve to die. The world's most venomous words were used to describe the Shang clan, and this sort of humiliation caused Shang Haoyang to be instantly enraged, and at the same time, completely extinguished any thoughts of making Yu Haoran work for the Shang clan. Do it! Inescapable net. Just as Shang Haoyang's order fell, the Shang clan great elder, who was the first to arrive at the square, immediately mobilized the power of law he controlled and integrated it into the lower emperor realm net-shaped celestial device. Then, he performed a killing technique. Looking at the net-shaped celestial device that was quickly enveloping him, Yu Haoran calmly stretched out his hands and quickly grabbed the 2 weak points of the net-shaped celestial device. Then, he used the physical strength of the Emperor Wu realm and tore it with force. Whoosh! With a harsh tearing sound, A hole was directly torn in the net-shaped celestial device. Yuhauran stepped through the torn hole, and then appeared in front of the Shang clan Great Elder in a flash. Arrogant dragon's remorse. With the dragon-subduing palm skill inherited from the witch ancestor and the physical strength of the Emperor Wu realm, he directly smashed the three-tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu realm expert into a bloody mist. Whoosh! The Great Elder of the Shang clan in the Middle Ages, a three-tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu realm expert, was directly smashed into a bloody mist by Yuhauran palm skill. Such a strong contrast made everyone present gasp involuntarily. Yuan Sangqiong's expression changed slightly, and a trace of fear and regret appeared in his eyes. Without using the power of law of life and death, and without a trace of primordial energy and soul power aura fluctuation, he can easily kill a three-tribulation quasi-Emperor Wu realm expert with just one palm skill. I'm afraid there's only one possibility. Looking at the blood mist that slowly drifted down, and looking at Yuhauran who appeared before the other Grand Elder of the Shang clan with an indifferent expression, Zhongli Shuiqin's heart instantly surged like a tempestuous storm as she involuntarily speculated. Elixir Emperor Yu's physical strength has probably successfully reached the Emperor Wu realm. As if to further confirm Zhongli Shuiqin's speculation, Yuhauran instantly appeared in front of the other Shang clan Great Elder. He completely ignored the other Shang clan Great Elder's heaven-class sword skill, and used a simple palm skill inherited from the witch ancestor. Brother Haoyang used the clan Great Elder. At the same time, Zhou Yuan Sangqiu Yu Haoyang kanganjured him. His strong mental state cultivation, and rich battle sense of battle, calm Haoyang Tsangyua Haoyang quickly, and immediately thought. His heaven's great sword skill used heaven's primordial sword realm sword heaven's realm expert realm, primordial energy great primordial heavens, scarlet crow illuminates the world. Then, he directly threw the feather into the air and roared. Following Shang Haoyang's roar, the feather that was thrown into the air instantly turned into a three-legged crow that emitted scorching flames. The three-legged scarlet crow that can transform into the sun in ancient times. Thaling, who had barely calmed his shock, unexpectedly felt a familiar scorching aura when he used the Buddha Saraira to recover the origin energy that Victor had consumed. He immediately looked through the space between Victor and the sea of consciousness. After seeing the three-legged crow in the air, his expression suddenly changed and he appeared in the sea of consciousness, and warned with a serious expression. After easily killing the third Grand Elder of the Shang clan, Yuhauran turned his head to look at the three-legged crow that was flapping its enormous wings in the air and glaring at him with a ferocious gaze. Yuhauran, the three-legged crow, was an existence that was second only to the 9 great divine beast kings in ancient times. Not only did its strength reach the peak of the 9th level of the divine realm, its 3 legs were comparable to top-level divine artifacts and could directly shake the sun, moon, and stars. Its ferocity did not lose out to ancient ferocious beasts like the Swanee. Seeing that Yuhauran had already noticed the three-legged crow in the air, Thaling hurriedly explained in detail. As for the three-legged crow in front of you, although it was transformed from a feather of a descendant, it possessed a terrifying strength that did not lose out to yours. The three-legged crow is also known as the three-legged crow. It absorbed the essence of the sun and stars and was nurtured by the heavens and earth for millions of years. Being able to hear the importance that Thaling attached to the three-legged crow, Yuhauran took a step forward and walked in the air as he chuckled and introduced more detailed information about the three-legged crow. Since it was a natural life form that was nurtured by the heavens and earth, then it should follow the orders of the heavenly Tao. However, the ferocious three-legged crow, under the instigation of some conspirators, had once committed a monstrous sin that brought chaos to the ancient continent. Yuhauran stopped when he was less than 30 meters away from the three-legged scarlet crow. Feeling the scorching aura contained in the flames emitted by the three-legged scarlet crow, Yuhauran withdrew his smile and asked with an indifferent expression, "Thaling, do you know how many three-legged crow were nurtured in the ancient continent?" 10. As a powerful being that had existed since the beginning of the world, Thaling had not only witnessed the birth of the three-legged crow with his own eyes, but had also used their feathers, which contained pure firepower, to make top-grade divine weapons. Of course, he knew the exact number of three-legged crow. Then, do you know how the heavenly Tao punished them when they committed monstrous sins? Yuhauran continued to ask as he activated the yin-yang fire in his dantian with his mind. I think it was 1 out of 10. When the three-legged crow had committed monstrous sins, the previous Thaling seemed to have left the ancient continent with his original body and went to the starry sky in search of a precious crafting material. However, after that, Thaling only heard a few words about it. Therefore, Thaling's answer was not so certain. Thaling, then do you know who carried out the punishment and killed the 9 most powerful three-legged crow? Activating the body of the ancestor Magus, which was nearly 3,000 meters tall, and activating the power of the yin-yang fire, Yuhauran asked with a trace of excitement. I don't know. The previous Thaling rarely got involved in the disputes of the ancient continent, and would not deliberately pay attention to the three-legged crow, which had nothing to do with him, and had a ferocious temperament. That was Zhu Rong, one of the 12 most powerful ancestors of Magus in ancient times, who was born to be good at controlling fire. Along with Yuhauran's excited answer, a flame that was no less scorching than the three-legged crow suddenly rose from the body of the ancestor Magus, who had transformed to nearly 3,000 meters tall. Chapter 1550. In the central region, above the hidden dragon fortress, three-legged scarlet crow, come back and kill the enemy immediately. Although the three-legged scarlet crow was formed from the feathers of a descendant of his bloodline, it was Shang Haoyang who provided the energy for the transformation. Therefore, when he saw the three-legged scarlet crow trying to escape in panic, Shang Haoyang shouted angrily as he used his mind to control the energy in the crow's body. Facing the nemesis that had once executed heaven's punishment and killed its ancestor, the three-legged scarlet crow instinctively wanted to escape. However, Shang Haoyang controlled the energy in its body with his mind, causing it to be unable to escape. This caused the three-legged scarlet crow to flap its wings with all its might, but it could not even move a meter away. As an existence whose temperament was comparable to that of a ferocious beast in ancient times, the three-legged scarlet crow had a kind of indifference to all living things in its bones. Therefore, when faced with a critical moment of life and death, it finally made the decision to devour its master and escape. It only destroyed half of its feathers in exchange for a body that could temporarily break free from the mind's control. The three-legged scarlet crow flapped its wings and charged towards Shang Haoyang. Animal, I am your master. You can only manifest because of the origin force, soul force, and power of law that I, Shang Haoyang, provided. Now, you dare to devour your master? Shang Haoyang shouted angrily as he watched the three-legged scarlet crow flapping its wings and charging towards him with a fierce gaze in its eyes. The more ferocious a living thing is, the more instinctive fear it will have. This Shang fellow has really shot himself in the foot. Thaling could not help but say proudly as he watched the three-legged scarlet crow fighting with Shang Haoyang. Yuhauran did not give any response to this. After quickly dispersing the transformation of the ancestral shaman, he used the law of speed and the law of flash to instantly appear in front of a great elder of the Zhou clan. Taking advantage of the great elder's panic, he took his life with a palm strike. Yuhauran, don't be so arrogant. Although Yuhauran's strength was unexpected, the cautious Zhou Yu's was not unprepared. Therefore, when he saw Yuhauran start to kill the great elder of the Zhou clan, Zhou Yu's roared and 3 black pearls immediately floated above his head. See suppressing pearl. Originally, Yu Haoran had wanted to use the laws of Flash to kill the other great elder of the Zhou clan, but when he saw the 3 black pearls above Zhou Yu's head, he could not help but immediately change his target. The innate cardinal treasure ocean-suppressing pearl that disappeared when the primordial age was destroyed. Zhongli Shuiqin, who also believed in the origin of the sea-suppressing pearl, shouted in excitement. She was so excited that she almost rushed to the top of the hidden dragon fortress to compete for the sea-suppressing pearl. After all, the Zhongli clan had the complete inheritance of the eternal green sovereign. Not only did they have the unique refining method to refine the sea-suppressing pearl, but they also had a sea-suppressing pearl in their collection. If they could obtain the 3 sea-suppressing pearls above Zhou Haiyou's head and then refine them using the unique refining method, then the combined 4 sea-suppressing pearls would have the power of a god-high-grade magic weapon. Fortunately, she, who cared more about her relationship with Wu Xingjun, did not forget Yu Haoran's advice before refining the elixir. She forcibly suppressed the desire to compete in her heart, and then began to silently hope that Yu Haoran could successfully kill Zhou Yu's and obtain the 3 sea-suppressing pearls so that she could use some precious treasures to exchange with him. Zhongli Shuiqin cared about her relationship with Wu Xingjun and did not want to anger Yu Haoran, so she gave up the fight. However, Huashanyu Yuan Sangqiong and the great elder of the Yushu Temple, who also knew the origin of the sea-suppressing pearl, were not so afraid. They quickly rose into the air and went straight to Zhou Yu's, who was activating the power of the sea-suppressing pearl. What do you want to do? As a primordial treasure that had existed since the beginning of the world, the sea-suppressing pearl's grade had already reached the peak of the Emperor realm, and the 3 refined sea-suppressing pearls had reached the lower grade of the God realm. With Zhou Yu's strength at the peak of the 9th grade martial venerable, even if he overdrew all his strength, not only could he at most exert 70% of the power of the 3 sea-suppressing pearls, but he also only had 1 chance to use them. Therefore, seeing Yuan Sangqiong and the other 2 rushing over, Zhou Yu's could not help but ask with a sudden change of expression. At the same time, another great elder of the Zhou clan flashed in front of the great elder of the Yushu Temple. There was no need to think too much. Yu Haoran also knew why Yuan Sangqiong and the other 2 were attacking. Although the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls were treasures that he had to obtain, he was happy to watch a group of selfish fellows kill each other and wait for a while. Brother Yus, the 3 black pearls above your head seem to be a treasure that our heavenly devil sect lost some time ago, so I want to check it myself, Yuan Sangqiong said seriously in the face of Zhou Yu's question. Yuan Sangqiong's shameless claim that the sea-suppressing pearl was a treasure of the heavenly devil sect made Zhou Yu so angry that he almost vomited blood. He did not know how to refute his shamelessness, so he could only look at Huashanyu angrily. The 5 elements counteract and promote each other. The sea-suppressing pearl can help me reach the Emperor Wu realm in the shortest time possible. Although Huashanyu was not as shameless as Yuan Sangqiong, her desire for the sea-suppressing pearl made Zhou Yuling's heart sink. Then, he looked at the great elder of the Yushu Temple, who was blocked by his subordinates. The tribulation of heaven and earth is about to begin. Both I and the Yushu Temple need to use the sea-suppressing pearl to protect ourselves and resist the enemy. The great elder of the Yushu Temple did not hide his thoughts. Zhou Yu knew that he had underestimated the temptation of a primordial treasure to some top experts. He could not help regretting that he had exposed the existence of the sea-suppressing pearl. However, as an ambitious person who dared to ally with the ancient divine clan, Zhou Yu was not a timid person. After quickly adjusting his regretful mood, he reminded them with a smile. Since the 3 of you can't give up the sea-suppressing pearl, who do you think I should give it to? Hearing Zhou Yu's blatant provocation, Yuan Sangqiong and the great elder of the Yushu Temple, who did not trust others easily, immediately became vigilant and took defensive positions. 1 pearl. Ignoring Zhou Yu's provocation and ignoring Yuan Sangqiong and the great elder of the Yushu temple, Huashanyu stretched out a finger. I only need one sea-suppressing pearl. Hearing Huashanyu's request, Yuan Sangqiong and the great elder of the Yushu temple immediately thought of a solution. Then, like Huashanyu, they each asked for one pearl. Chapter 1551. Above the hidden dragon fortress in the central region. Seeing that Zhou Yu's had not replied for a long time, Yuan Sangqiong, who was a little impatient, could not help but urge and threaten him. Brother Yu's, I'm busy and don't have much time to waste waiting, so you'd better make your stand clear immediately. Huashanyu and the highest elder of the Yushu temple took a step forward at the same time, supporting Yuan Sangqiong's threat with practical actions. Waving his hand to signal the people in front of the highest elder of the Yushu temple to get out of the way, Zhou Yu's controlled the 3 sea-suppressing pearls to fall slowly on his palm, then nodded with a strange smile on his face. I can agree to your request just now and give each of you a sea-suppressing pearl, a primordial cardinal treasure. Before Yuan Sangqiong and the highest elder of the Yushu temple could smile, Zhou Yu suddenly changed his tone and continued. However, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If you want to get the sea-suppressing pearl, you have to agree to one of my conditions. Pointing at Yu Haoran, who was watching the show, Zhou Yu said with a murderous look. That is, you have to work together to kill him. Hearing Zhou Yu's request, Yuan Sangqiong and the other 2 could not help but change their expressions slightly. They looked at each other and saw the hesitation in each other's eyes. After all, the 4 powerful experts who had been easily killed by the 3 tribulations Emperor Wu had fully proved Yu Haoran's strength. Whether it was Yuan Sangqiong, who thought highly of himself, or Huashanyu, who had inherited the secret method, they were not fully confident that they could defeat him. The 3 sea-suppressing pearls combined can exert nearly 70% of the power of a low-grade Divine Realms celestial device, which is almost equivalent to the strength of a peak 3rd-grade Emperor Wu. Seeing the hesitation in the eyes of Yuan Sangqiong and the other 2, Zhou Yu knew that if he did not add fuel to the fire, it would be impossible for the 3 of them to make a final decision. Therefore, he reminded them with a sneer. If you don't agree to my request and want to take it by force, then the sea-suppressing pearls that should have been thrown at Yu Haoran may fall on you. Hearing Zhou Yu's warning, Yuan Sangqiong and the other 2 looked at each other gloomily. Yuan Sangqiong and the highest elder of the Yushu temple showed a trace of determination in their eyes, but Huashanyu still looked hesitant and hesitated. I promise you. Ignoring the hesitant Huashanyu, Yuan Sangqiong quickly reached a consensus with the Supreme Elder of Hollow Jade Temple and nodded in agreement. This elder agrees with you. The Supreme Elder of the Hollow Jade Palace echoed. I give up. After thinking about it again and again, Huashanyu decided that it was best not to offend Yu Haoran, who was narrow-minded, before the higher-ups of the family decided whether they would be friends or foes in the future. She wanted to avoid unpredictable troubles in the future. She gave up on joining forces to attack Yu Haoran, and she could not fight against the sea-suppressing pearls that could exert the strength of a peak 3rd-grade Emperor Wu. Huashanyu, who chose to give up, returned to the stone chair in the stands. Seeing Huashanyu withdraw from the fight for the sea-suppressing pearls in time, Yu Haoran looked at Yuan Sangqiong with a strange light in his eyes, and his tone was full of disgust and ridicule. As the saying goes, wolves travel thousands of miles to eat meat, and dogs travel thousands of miles to eat meat. For some cruel and unscrupulous people, even if you give your heart to them, the end result will be their more shameless revenge. Yuan Sangqiong, I don't know if you are a despicable and unscrupulous person. Elixir Emperor Yu, forgive me for being stupid, but I really don't know what you were talking about just now. Ever since Yuan Sangqiong showed his talent, in order to obtain a higher status and seize more opportunities to improve his cultivation and strength, some of his actions had been mocked and ridiculed. Not only was his skin thick enough, but his mentality had also adapted to all kinds of sarcasm and ridicule. Therefore, in the face of Yu Haoren's sarcasm, not only did he not show a trace of anger, but he also pretended to be ignorant. I'm convinced. Yuan Sangqiong's shamelessness refreshed Yu Haoren's understanding of human nature. He could not help but give him a thumbs up. Sect Master Yuan, you are thick-skinned, unscrupulous, and shameless. This junior sincerely admires you. In response, Yuan Sangqiong just snorted coldly, then turned his head and nodded to the highest elder of the Yushu Temple. Then, in a flash, he appeared in front of Yu Haoren. Heavenly Demon Hand. His left hand, which contained enough power to tear the sky apart, bent slightly and directly grabbed Yu Haoren's heart. Palace of Life. At the same time, the highest elder of the Yushu Temple, who had received Yuan Sangqiong's signal, immediately displayed the divine-level martial skill, the treasure of the Yushu Temple. The divine-level martial skill quickly condensed into a dazzling golden palace, which then smashed viciously toward Yu Haoren like a mountain. Yuan Sangqiong, you've just broken through Emperor Wu's origin force realm, and you're already so arrogant. Looking at the 5 fingers, which were as fast as lightning, Yu Haoren, who had not only activated the defensive power of Emperor Wu's body in advance, but also mobilized the Rui Bell into his body, said with contempt and sarcasm in his eyes. Then, he displayed the 18 dragon subduing palms, which had been passed down from the wizard ancestor, with one hand, and the earth-suppressing fist, which had been passed down from the wizard ancestor, with the other hand. Yu Haoren's sarcastic remark about his cultivation made Yuan Sangqiong feel a little uneasy, because it meant that his opponent's strength was very likely far beyond his own. But the arrow had been shot, and there was no turning back, so he could only continue to attack and mobilize his remaining origin force to strengthen his defense. Crack! The heavenly demon hand accurately grabbed Yu Haoren's heart, but the expected skin and flesh did not appear. Instead, Yuan Sangqiong's physical defense, which was as tough as iron, and a terrifying rebound force, made Yuan Sangqiong's fingers crack. Slap! Yuan Sangqiong endured the sharp pain caused by his broken fingers and wanted to retreat, but a crisp slap immediately made Yuan Sangqiong feel a burning pain on his left cheek. Boom! The slap in the ear during a life-and-death battle could be said to be a naked humiliation. Yuan Sangqiong, who was instantly enraged, was about to use a stronger attack, but a deafening roar came from above his head, forcing him to continue retreating and raise his head to take a look. One was a divine-level martial skill that had been carefully displayed, while the other was a hurried inheritance fist. One was a dazzling golden palace, and the other was a thick and solid mountain. The result of the collision was completely out of everyone's expectations. Chapter 1552. Above the hidden dragon fortress in the central region, the highest elder of the Yushu Temple changed his expression when he saw that the divine-level cultivation method he had used with all his strength was so vulnerable in front of the mountain formed by his opponent's fist technique. The highest elder of the Yushu Temple hurriedly reminded Yuan Sangqiong loudly as he continued to use his sword technique to bombard the heavy mountain. Sect Master Yuan, don't just stand there. Hurry up! After hearing the reminder of the highest elder of the Yushu Temple and seeing Yu Haoren's confident smile, Yuan Sangqiong, who wanted to retreat, immediately displayed his shameless character and said with a smile, "Elixir Emperor Yu, I've always wanted to know how much your strength has improved after the baptism of endless thunder tribulations. So the palm technique just now was just a test." "Oh, so what's the result of your test, Sect Master Yuan?" In the face of Yuan Sangqiong's shameless and scoundrel sophistry, Yu Haoren admired how shameless he was and couldn't help but want to know the limit of his shamelessness. "Strong, very strong. You're not inferior to me." Yuan Sangqiong's eyes were full of gratification as he praised. E.W. Qin Lingfei and Zhongli Shuiqin, who couldn't stand Yuan Sangqiong's shamelessness, made a gesture of vomiting at the same time to express their dissatisfaction. Countless experts on the spectators' stand also showed disdain and disgust on their faces. Is Sect Master Yuan's strength stronger, or is this Pill Emperor's strength stronger? Yu Haoran chuckled as he glanced at the extremely lovable Qin Lingfei. We're neck and neck, Yuan Sangqiong replied without blushing or skipping a beat. No, I can't stand it. I'm really going to vomit. Yuan Sangqiong's shameless reply made Qin Lingfei's face turn a little ugly. Finally, she really vomited. Lingfei, don't tell me you're pregnant. The sword without trace asked in delight when he saw the acid on the ground. As for Yusiki, who was cultivating with her eyes closed, she immediately opened her eyes to observe. Then, she closed her eyes again in disappointment. Traceless, what are you talking about? Being able to possess the crystallization of love had always been her dream. However, the higher one's cultivation was, the harder it was to conceive. This made her realize that this dream might take a very, very long time. Therefore, Qin Lingfei, who knew the real situation, couldn't help but reprimand him in a low voice with a red face. Sect Master Yuan, as the saying goes, there is no first place in literature and no second place in martial arts. Yu Haoran's interest in peeking at the thickness of the other party's skin grew stronger and stronger as he continued to challenge the other party's limits. Why don't you and I continue the competition and decide a winner? Elixir Emperor Yu, although I'd like to agree to your request, the reality of the situation forces me to decline. Yuan Sangqiong pointed at the Yushu Temple's great Supreme Elder, who had already shattered the mountain, and refused in a very helpless tone. Fist shatters the firmament. Seeing that Yuan Sangqiong wanted to use the Yushu Temple's great Supreme Elder as a shield and refused to continue peeping, Yu Haoran's response was very simple. The more powerful and faster ancestral wizard fist technique instantly blasted the Yushu Temple's great Supreme Elder's chest. Yuan Sangqiong, you despicable bastard! You'll die a horrible death sooner or later. The Yushu Temple's great Supreme Elder, who knew that he was going to die, finally targeted Yuan Sangqiong when he saw the power of the fist technique tearing apart his high-grade venerable stage defensive Dharma artifact and crushing his internal organs and meridians. Bastard, how can this sect master be insulted by a useless elder like you? After hearing the Yushu Temple's great Supreme Elder's hateful curse, Yuan Sangqiong, who was instantly enraged, used the Heavenly Demon Hand martial technique to grab the great Supreme Elder's spiritual sea and scolded him arrogantly. Elixir Emperor Yu, since you still have a grudge with clan leader Zhou and clan leader Shang, I won't continue to disturb you. After crushing the Yushu Temple's great Supreme Elder's spiritual sea, Yuan Sangqiong immediately reminded him with a solemn expression. Then, without giving Yu Haoran any chance to refute or persuade him to stay, he flashed back to the stone chair in the stands. However, the few clan elders who were originally sitting next to him immediately got up and left the stone chair with a look of disgust and shame. Yuan Sangqiong did not care about this at all. He closed his eyes and began to adjust the endless anger in his heart. Seeing that Yuan Sangqiong did not give him any chance to continue peeping, Yu Haoran only shook his head in slight disappointment and did not continue to cause trouble for him. This was because when he blocked Yuan Sangqiong's Heavenly Demon Hand and planned to use the powerful strength of Emperor Wu's body to smash his head, the fouling in his spiritual sea stopped him in time. In the end, the palm technique that was aimed at his head turned into a slap on his ear. As for the reason why the fouling stopped him, it was because he hoped that when Yuan Sangqiong broke through to Emperor Wu's realm with the help of the Heavenly Demon's soul-luring elixir, he could use a special secret method to seize a large number of Heavenly Demon remnant souls to assist him in improving his cultivation and healing the injuries of the original victor. He withdrew his gaze from Yuan Sangqiong and looked at Shang Haoyang, whose aura was low, and Zhou Yu's, who had raised the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls again. Brother Haoyang, do you have any backup plans? The strength that Yu Haoran had just displayed was too powerful. Zhou Yu's was a little worried that the power of the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls might not be able to directly injure him. Therefore, when he saw that Shang Haoyang had successfully killed the 3-legged red crow, he immediately asked in anticipation. Looking up at the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls floating above Zhou Yu's head, Shang Haoyang's eyes flashed with a hint of envy before he nodded and replied, "Yes." Then, he took out a chain that was about 2 meters long and exuded a strong dragon's aura from his sleeve. Could this be the dragon-snaring lasso that Taoist Yunzhong refined using the dragon tendons of an Emperor Realm giant dragon during the Middle Ages? Zhou Yu's could not help but speculate in surprise when he saw the chain that Shang Haoyang took out. That's right. While nodding to confirm Zhou Yu's speculation, Shang Haoyang looked at Yu Haoran with hatred in his eyes and ordered, "Brother Yuz, I'll use the dragon-snaring lasso to bind Yu Haoran directly. Then, use the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls to directly destroy his spirit and body." "No problem." While nodding excitedly in response, Zhou Yuz immediately took out a pill that could increase his strength in a short period of time. With that, he could unleash the power of the ocean-suppressing pearls so that he could succeed in one hit. "Thaling, there's some trouble." Seeing the dragon-snaring lasso that Shang Haoyang took out, Yu Haoran could not help but warn Thaling with a serious expression. Chapter 1553. Above the hidden dragon fortress in the central region. "Thaling, don't be careless." Perhaps it was his 6th sense that warned him, but Yu Haoran felt that something wasn't quite right. However, he couldn't pinpoint exactly what was wrong, which was why he couldn't help but warn Thaling when he saw how confident he was. "Don't worry, I know." Although he said that he knew, he could tell from how nonchalant Thaling was that he didn't take Yu Haoran's warning to heart at all. Soul sealing. Shang Haoyang channeled his remaining elemental energy and soul power into the dragon-snaring lasso. As he tossed the lasso into the air, he made a hand seal and roared. Roar! As an extremely pure dragon roar rang out, the dragon-snaring lasso that was thrown into the air instantly turned into a slender, beautiful silver-white dragon that was several hundred meters long. As the silver-white dragon swayed its tail and charged towards Yu Haoran, more and more identical silver-white dragons quickly separated from it. By the time the silver-white dragons were around 30 meters away from Yu Haoran, there were 99 of them that had separated from the dragon-snaring lasso. The entire sky above the hidden dragon fortress was now completely occupied by the silver-white dragons. Falling star. At the same time, Zhou Yu's immediately activated the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls above his head. Together with the dragon-snaring lasso's powerful encirclement, he launched a fatal attack. Dragon-snaring throat. Thaling smiled faintly when he saw that there were 99 silver-white dragons that had separated from the dragon-snaring lasso. He didn't panic at all as he bent the 5 fingers of his left hand into a claw-like attacking posture. Afterwards, he grabbed at the 99 silver-white dragons in the air through his consciousness. An invisible force directly transcended the barriers of time and space, instantly grabbing the throats of all 99 silver-white dragons. Not only did the dragon-snaring throat technique lock down the strength of the silver-white dragons, but it also sealed the formation within the ritual tool. This caused all the struggling silver-white dragons to gradually calm down. Their bodies also gradually shrank until they turned into dragon-snaring lasso. At the same time, Thaling used his free right hand to mobilize the power of the laws of space within the victor. Afterwards, he set up layer after layer of spatial barriers in front of Yu Haoran to continuously weaken the power of the 3 ocean-suppressing pearls. God damn it! Yu Haoran secretly heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Thaling had not only succeeded in capturing the dragon-snaring lasso, but the spatial barriers he had also continuously weakened the power of the ocean-suppressing orbs. However, at this moment, a sharp dagger suddenly appeared between his brows and his consciousness. He could not help but curse as he used the Rui bell that he had activated beforehand to block the dagger's attack. At the same time, he used the rule of speed and the rule of flash to continuously retreat. However, the sharp dagger was like a venomous snake. No matter how he dodged or retreated, he could not break free from the dagger's lock on his consciousness. Moreover, the dark soul-devouring aura that the sharp dagger gave off was clearly smeared with the ghost soul-devouring poison that could devour souls. "You Howren, don't worry. I'm here to help you." After successfully seizing the dragon-snaring lasso, Thaling was just about to forcefully take the ocean-suppressing orb that had already been weakened by a third when he was suddenly shocked by Yuhauren's cursing and dodging. When he saw the sharp dagger that was constantly chasing after his consciousness, Thaling abandoned the ocean-suppressing orb without any hesitation. Right after that, he immediately used his powerful demigod-level divine telekinesis to lock onto the sharp dagger. While removing Yuhauren's crisis, he also tracked down the person behind the scenes who was controlling the sharp dagger. As if it had sensed the fluctuation of the demigod-level divine telekinesis, the sharp dagger that was initially locked onto Yuhauren's consciousness between his brows suddenly disappeared from where it was as soon as the energy lock on it was removed. Even if Thaling used his divine telekinesis to its limit, he could not successfully track down the exact location where the dagger had disappeared. "Thaling, the danger has been removed. Go and fight for the 3 ocean-suppressing orbs immediately." Just as the sharp dagger removed the lock on his consciousness between his brows, the warning from his 6th sense disappeared as well. Yuhauren could not help but secretly heave a sigh of relief. Right after that, he happened to see Zhou Yu's about to retrieve the ocean-suppressing orb that had been weakened by half, so he hurriedly reminded Thaling. "Since it's been branded with my Thaling's consciousness, the ocean-suppressing orb already has an owner. It's not something that you can retrieve just because you want to." After hearing Yuhauren's reminder, Thaling immediately reserved half of his divine telekinesis to be alert of the surrounding situation, while the other half continued to mobilize Victor's spatial law energy to set up a spatial barrier around the ocean-suppressing orb. While continuing to weaken the ocean-suppressing orb's power, he also completely sealed off Zhou Yu's hopes of retrieving the ocean-suppressing orb. Finally, with the dual cooperation of Thaling's powerful divine telekinesis and spatial law energy, the 3 ocean-suppressing orbs slowly landed in Yuhauren's palm. Temporarily suppressing his joy of obtaining the sea-suppressing orbs, Yuhauren sent the 3 sea-suppressing orbs into the space of the territory tower. He ignored the ugly expressions of Zhou Yu's and Shang Haoyang and turned his murderous gaze to the surrounding spectator stands. Through the observation of the sharp dagger when he was dodging earlier, Yuhauren knew that the culprit who had secretly used his consciousness to control the sharp dagger must be hiding in the spectator stands. If the dagger was controlled too far away, it would be impossible for the culprit to successfully escape under the seal of Thaling's powerful divine telekinesis of a first tribulation demigod. To be able to break through Thaling's divine telekinesis seal in time meant that the culprit was rather powerful. At the same time, he had only detected the culprit when the culprit actually launched a fatal sneak attack. This meant that the culprit was also an expert who was proficient in concealment technique. Therefore, Yuhauren's gaze not only swept past the top experts at the top of the spectator stands, but he also did not let go of the ordinary martial saint experts at the bottom of the spectator stands. Unfortunately, without the tracking of the culprit's unique scent, he could only rely on his gaze and divine telekinesis to search. In the end, he found nothing. Thaling, who had used his divine telekinesis to the limit, also did not find any clues left behind by the culprit. Yuhauren, although the dagger artifact broke free from the seal of my divine telekinesis just now, I have clearly remembered the unique aura contained in the dagger artifact. A moment of carelessness had actually caused Yuhauren to almost be seriously injured under the sneak attack of the dagger that was smeared with the ghost soul devourer poison. This made Thaling feel deeply guilty, and his desire to catch the culprit behind this became even stronger. As long as the culprit dares to make a sneak attack, not only will I be able to sense it immediately, but I will also be able to directly determine who the culprit behind this is. Chapter 1554. Above the hidden dragon fortress in the central region, Zhou Yu's could not help but shudder when he saw Yu Haoran's murderous gaze. He also knew that his mission today had failed completely. However, he was unwilling to give up just like that. He wanted to use negotiation to recoup his family's losses as much as possible. Therefore, he forcefully suppressed the trace of panic that had emerged in his heart and spoke in a condescending manner. Yu Haoran, as long as you return the 3 pearls, the sea-suppressing divine pearl, and the celestial slashing sword immediately, all the grievances between you and the Zhou family will be written off. Zhou Yu's Yu Haoran, don't trust any of your promises. You're such a heartless and unscrupulous person who would rather ruin the lifelong happiness of your 2 biological daughters for your own selfish desires. After hearing Zhou Yu's arrogant promise, Yu Haoran walked towards Zhou Yu's and Shang Haoyang while laughing coldly and humiliating him. Moreover, in the face of the sea-suppressing divine pearl and the celestial slashing sword, which is not inferior to the sea-suppressing divine pearl, I, Yu Haoran, have nothing to fear even if I have to fight to the death with the Zhou family. Yu Haoran, the reason why you're not afraid of the Zhou family's threat now is that you haven't seen the true power of the Zhou family. Facing the approaching Yu Haoran, Zhou Yu quietly took out an escape talisman like Shang Haoyang. After secretly activating the energy of the escape talisman, his expression was still full of arrogance as he threatened Yu Haoran. The moment the 5 regions hidden dragon leaderboard competition ended, the 3 Emperor Wu ancestors of the Zhou family had already awakened. Moreover, as the heavenly Tao rules fall into a deep sleep, the environment of heaven and earth is further recovering. More and more Emperor Wu and demigod ancestors of the Zhou family will awaken. In the future, even the martial god ancestors will descend and be revived. Yu Haoran, I wonder what gives you the confidence to be so arrogant in the face of Emperor Wu, demigod and martial god deities. It's simple. Yu Haoran, who had sensed the aura of the escape talismans coming from Zhou Yu's and Shang Haoyang, knew that it was too late to stop them from leaving. Moreover, he did not really want to kill the head of the family of inheritances. He stopped in his tracks and retorted arrogantly. Based on my fearless courage, based on my talent in alchemy, based on my cultivation speed that far exceeds that of the top geniuses, based on I've seen countless arrogant and ignorant people. However, I've never seen someone as arrogant and ignorant as you, Yu Haoran, who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Yu Haoran's arrogant and awe-inspiring counterattack caused Zhou Yu's expression to change slightly. At the same time, he could not help but interrupt Yu Haoran's counterattack with contempt and ridicule. Then, sensing the activation of the escape talisman's teleportation power, Zhou Yu left behind a threat that made Qin Lingfei and the others' expressions change. Yu Haoran, just you wait. When the great ancestor of the Zhou family of Emperor Wu recovers his strength, he will definitely let you know the consequences of offending me, Yu Haoran. Yu Haoran ignored the threat left behind by Zhou Yu before he disappeared and looked at Shang Haoyang, who was deliberately suppressing the teleportation power of the escape talisman. Could it be that Clan Head Shang also has something to say? Elixir Emperor Yu, take the dragon snaring rope as my sincerity in apologizing to you. Can you let go of the grudge between you and the Shang family? Shang Haoyang, who had a complicated expression in his eyes, did not say anything threatening. Instead, he took the initiative to take a step back. This made everyone present feel very surprised. Clan Head Shang, are you sure? Yu Haoran also asked in disbelief. From the number of supreme elders leading the three tribulations quasi-Emperor Wu, as well as the number of magic treasures left from the ancient and Middle Ages, the Shang family's strength was clearly not inferior to the Zhou family's. If that was the case, then as the clan head of the Shang family, what reason did Shang Haoyang have to back down? Could it be because he just displayed strength that was not inferior to Emperor Wu's realm? Or was it because he was a dual emperor in alchemy and formation? That's right. Shang Haoyang nodded to confirm. When Yu Haoran asked, he also knew that Shang Haoyang would definitely have doubts in his heart. Therefore, when he released the suppression of the teleportation power of the escape talisman, Shang Haoyang cupped his hands and promised Yu Haoran. Elixir Emperor Yu, seeing is believing. In the future, you will personally see the sincerity of the Shang family's willingness to reconcile. Seeing Shang Haoyang disappear on the spot, Yu Haoran shook his head hard to drive the doubts in his heart out of his mind. Then, in a flash, he appeared in front of the supreme elder of the Zhou family who was trying to escape. Emperor Wu's physical body grade, coupled with the palm technique passed down by the ancestral shaman, directly smashed the Supreme Elder into a bloody mist. After easily killing the last Supreme Elder of the Zhou family, Yu Haoran took a deep breath and calmed the ceaselessly churning qi and blood in his body. Then, his gaze directly turned to the top of the west side of the spectators' stand. A handsome middle-aged man with an extraordinary temperament was wearing a fiery phoenix robe. After feeling Yu Haoran's gaze, the middle-aged man with the surname Ling couldn't help but change his expression slightly. At the same time, he quietly took out an escape talisman and raised his head to look back at Yu Haoran's gaze. If I didn't guess wrongly, you should be the clan head of the Lung family from the central region, Senior Cold Cloud Lung, who is known as One Sword Strokes the City. Ignoring the other party's action of quietly taking out an escape talisman, Yu Haoran asked with a rather polite attitude. That's right, I'm Cold Cloudling, who is known as One Sword Strokes the City. I'm also the current clan head of the Ling family. Cold Cloud, who stood up, nodded and replied with an indifferent expression. Junior Yu Haoran greets Senior Cold Cloudling. After getting Cold Cloud's personal confirmation, Yu Haoran hurriedly cupped his hands and greeted respectfully. In this regard, Cold Cloud only nodded indifferently and didn't give a response of equal status. This made many experts present feel rather dissatisfied. However, Yu Haoran, who didn't care about Cold Cloud's attitude at all, continued to ask with cupped hands. Senior Cold Cloudling, I wonder what's your relationship with Junior Lin Mengyao? Lin Mengyao. After a trace of panic flashed in his eyes, Cold Cloud immediately shook his head and denied. I don't know her. The originally respectful expression was immediately replaced by a gloomy one. Yu Haoran asked with a slightly sharp tone, Are you sure? Back when they were encircling and suppressing the 11 quasi-venerable realm exotic beasts in the Hengduan Mountains, Lin Mengyao, who had successfully awakened the Blood Phoenix bloodline inheritance, had far surpassed the Sword Without Trace and Kong Yong-ah in terms of cultivation, strength, talent, and potential. With the bloodline inheritance of the Blood Phoenix and the cultivation of the family behind her, she probably had the strength to make it to the top 10 of the 5 regions' Hidden Dragon ranking competition. However, her absence from the Hidden Dragon ranking competition in the southern region and the 5 regions made him realize that Thaling's speculation back then was probably wrong. Lin Mengyao didn't participate in the central region Hidden Dragon ranking competition because of her birthplace, and it wasn't that she didn't have the strength to make it to the finals of the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking competition. She must have met with an accident. Chapter 1555. Central Region, Hidden Dragon Fortress on the West Stand. After quickly calming down the trace of panic that emerged in his heart, Ling Yun affirmed with a cold expression. Of course! Senior Cold Cloud, Junior and Junior Sister Lin are disciples of the 100 Qi Gate at the same time. We are both top 3 in the semifinals. our talent, potential, comprehension, and perseverance are the same, so we have a very good relationship. During the time when I was cultivating in the sect, Junior has heard Junior sister Lin mention her background more than once. Not only do I know that she is a direct descendant of the Ling family, I also know the special relationship between you and her. Seeing that Cold Cloud refused to admit it, Yu Haoran suddenly had a bad feeling. However, he forcefully suppressed the violence that gradually emerged in his heart and tried his best to maintain a gentle tone as he asked. Therefore, Junior hopes that Senior Cold Cloud can think about it carefully. Do you know Lin Mengyao or not? Yu Haoran, are you done yet? Seeing that Yu Haoran kept asking questions, Cold Cloud, who had successfully activated the teleportation power of the escape talisman, immediately shouted impatiently. I have already told you clearly that I do not know who Lin Mengyao is, and I have nothing to do with her. Cold Cloud, I already knew the moment you took out the escape talisman. With my current speed and strength, it would be easy to destroy the escape talisman in your hand. But do you know why I did not make a move? Cold Cloud's sudden irritation made Yu Haoran's bad feeling even more real. However, considering the special relationship between the other party and Lin Mengyao, he continued to forcefully suppress the violent emotions in his heart and threatened with a cold expression. Because you are Junior Sister Mengyao's biological father. You are the person she respects the most in her heart. You are also the goal that she has been working hard to catch up to in the sect. Therefore, I don't wish for you to be like Zhou Yu's and do evil deeds that harm your family for your own selfish desires. Otherwise, you and the entire Ling family will have to pay the price in blood. Yu Haoran, who do you think you are? What qualifications do you have to threaten this patriarch and the entire Ling clan? After hearing Yu Haoran's murderous threat, Cold Cloud's eyes were filled with contempt as he mocked. When he felt the power of the escape talisman begin to teleport, he sneered and provoked. Yu Haoran, believe it or not, as long as you dare to take half a step into the Lung clan, I, Cold Cloud, will definitely make you die without a burial ground. Seeing Cold Cloud disappear in front of the stone chair, the indifference in Yu Haoran's eyes was gradually replaced by a fierce, killing intent. At this moment, not only was he 100% sure that Lin Mengyao was in danger, but it was also very likely that it was fatal. Therefore, he had no choice but to change his plan at the last minute. After obtaining Thaling's approval and support, Yu Haoran returned to the Southern Spectator's stand in a flash. He planned to inform Qin Lingfei and the rest before immediately heading to the Qinling mountain range, which was about 700,000 miles away from the Hidden Dragon Fortress, to track down Lin Mengyao's whereabouts. However, before he could open his mouth to speak, the list that had disappeared reappeared above the central square. After that, the rainbow dragon head formed by the Hidden Dragon Providence slowly extended from the list. I was born at the beginning of the world and gathered the infinite potential of billions of living beings to grow. After hundreds of millions of years of cultivation, I have now reached the realm of merit. The rainbow dragon head said with a complicated expression as it looked down at the countless experts in the spectator's stand with its huge dragon eyes. From today onwards, the 999,999 Hidden Dragon ranking battles will officially end. The Hidden Dragon Fortress of the 5 regions will also disappear from the profound sky continent in 3 days. After hearing the announcement of the Hidden Dragon Providence, countless experts at the scene were stunned. Even Yu Haoran, who knew beforehand that the Hidden Dragon Providence was about to advance, was also shocked. This was because the Hidden Dragon ranking battles were not only the best stage for the peerless and monstrous geniuses of the younger generation to show off their abilities, but also whether they could achieve a rapid transformation in their cultivation and strength, and become the top experts of the Tianxian continent. How could the crowd accept that the Hidden Dragon Providence was going to be permanently cancelled in such an important competition and such a heaven-defying opportunity? However, The people who really could not accept the cancellation of the Hidden Dragon ranking battles and the withdrawal of the 5 regions' Hidden Dragon Fortress were the 33 venerables from the fortress. Lord Hidden Dragon, please don't. The blue-robed venerable from the central region quickly flew to the rainbow dragon head and knelt in the air, begging with a terrified expression. Lord Hidden Dragon, I, Jing Bin, have never left the Hidden Dragon Fortress since I joined the Purification Organization 270 years ago and was fortunate enough to become a venerable from the Central Region's Hidden Dragon Fortress. If you cancel the Hidden Dragon ranking battles, what will I do in the future? If you take back the Hidden Dragon Fortress of the Central Region, where will I go? The blue-robed venerable from the Central Region's Hidden Dragon Fortress begged, which was why the other 31 venerables were confused. Therefore, the 31 venerables who knelt side by side behind the blue-robed venerable begged together. Only Peng Yanfei was different. At this moment, not only did he not kneel and beg, but he also excitedly left the Hidden Dragon Fortress and headed straight for the Purification Organization's headquarters. Looking at the excited Peng Yanfei leaving the Hidden Dragon Fortress, the rainbow dragon's huge dragon eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. When it saw the 32 venerables kneeling and begging in front of it, the coldness in its eyes was instantly replaced by relief, and its tone was even gentler. If you still want to be loyal and serve my Hidden Dragon Providence, then you can stay in your respective Hidden Dragon Fortresses. At that time, not only will I bring you to a paradise, but I will also give you the opportunity to become a deity in the future. Thank you, Lord Hidden Dragon, thank you, Lord Hidden Dragon. After hearing the Hidden Dragon Providence's reply and promise, the 32 venerables immediately kowtowed in ecstasy and thanked it. After getting up, they respectfully stood behind the list. Seeing the Hidden Dragon Providence looking at him, Yu Haoran nodded to Qin Lingfei and the others, then flew to the Rainbow Dragon. How much time do you need? Yu Haoran asked with a complicated expression as he looked at the 7-colored dragon's eyes, which sometimes flashed with indifference toward all living beings, and sometimes filled with the 7 emotions and 6 desires of humanity. Shaking its head, the Rainbow Dragon indicated that it did not know. After all, as a special existence born from heaven and earth, it had a unique cultivation method that relied on the potential of living beings to grow. There was not an identical precedent for it to refer to, nor was there any information about it left in the world. Chapter 1556. Above the Hidden Dragon Fortress in the Central Region. Seeing that the Hidden Dragon blessing was also unclear about the promotion time, Yu Haoran continued to ask after a look of disappointment flashed in his eyes. Senior, do you need me to do anything? Young man, can you continue to enter the virtual zone now? The 7-colored dragon looked straight into Yu Haoran's eyes and asked expectantly. Anytime, anywhere. As long as there were no accidents in the Thaling region, it would not be troublesome to enter the virtual zone. Therefore, Yu Haoran replied truthfully. Young man, since I don't know if the advancement process of my life form is going smoothly, I hope you can enter the virtual zone every 10 years to observe the advancement of my body. After receiving Yu Haoran's affirmative answer, the anticipation in the 7-colored dragon's eyes was immediately replaced by surprise, and it pleaded with an even more excited tone. If there are any problems in my advancement process, I hope you can help me if you can. No problem. Yu Haoran did not even consider the Hidden Dragon Blessing's plea and nodded directly in agreement. After all, the care in the southern region and the 5 regions' Hidden Dragon ranking battle was the key to him being able to overcome the endless thunder tribulation and advancing his physical body to Emperor Wu's level. In his opinion, entering the virtual zone once every 10 years was not a request at all. Thank you. For the first time in its life, the Hidden Dragon Blessing lowered its huge dragon head and thanked a junior whose strength was far inferior to it. Senior, you're too polite. This is what I should do. The godlike Hidden Dragon Blessing was thanking him in such a serious manner. This made Yu Haoran feel extremely flattered and he quickly waved his hand in acknowledgement. Ignoring Yu Haoran's persuasion, the hidden dragon blessing spat out a jade slip from its huge dragon mouth after thanking him solemnly. The jade slip flew directly to Yu Haoran and explained with a smile. Young man, this jade slip is your reward for taking care of my advancement process in the future. Although Yu Haoran wanted to refuse the reward given by the hidden dragon blessing, he felt that he was spying on the contents of the jade slip. In the end, he reached out and held the jade slip, then checked the contents of the jade slip. This, after he saw the section of the secret control technique recorded in the jade slip and the target of control, Yu Haoran's heart instantly surged with shock like tempestuous waves. When he looked up and wanted to ask the reason why the hidden dragon blessing did this, he found that the 7-colored dragon and the list had already disappeared. Yu Haoran, what is recorded in the jade slip? Yu Haoran's fluctuating emotions made the pagoda spirit extremely interested in the information recorded in the jade slip. Therefore, after seeing Yu Haoran's consciousness withdraw from the jade slip, he quickly asked. After sending the jade slip directly to Thaling in the Sea of Consciousness, Yu Haoran flashed back to the south side of the stands. After briefly explaining his next training plan to Qin Lingfei and Yu Siki, he directly rose into the air and left the hidden dragon fortress. Then, he went straight to the Lung family in the Qinling Mountains. Deep in the Qinling Mountains, Cold Cloud, who had returned to the Qinling Mountains in advance, did not immediately return to the family. Instead, he took a detour and came to a very hidden cave deep in the mountains. Using the divine thought of a peak 9th grade martial venerable, after making sure that no one was following him, he quietly entered the cave. Then, he used a special jade pendant to open a hidden mechanism in the cave. Through the exquisite mechanism, Ling Yun finally came to a blood pool at the bottom of the mountain that was filled with a strong smell of blood. Looking up at the huge blood phoenix above the blood pool, which had been pierced through 9 vital parts by 3 huge chains, Cold Cloud's eyes were filled with greed and madness. As the saying goes, even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. Feeling Cold Cloud appearing in front of the blood pool, the blood phoenix, whose aura was so weak that it could die at any time, showed a complicated expression of sadness and anger in its blood-red eyes. Its tone was filled with endless sorrow. Cold Cloud, just to get a drop of blood from the blood phoenix's bloodline, you drew out the soul of your own daughter, who has the potential to become a divine phoenix in the future. Now I even wonder if you are a kind person. What do you know, little girl? Facing the blood phoenix's ridicule, Cold Cloud could not help but sneered and refuted. The blood phoenix is not only the direct descendant of the divine phoenix, but also a mysterious existence after the bloodline has mutated. The blood phoenix not only has the ability to surpass the divine phoenix and become a powerful existence at the peak of the Supreme Master Realm, but also has the potential to break through to the immortal realm. If I can use the blood phoenix's blood and integrate it with my ancestors' bloodline, not only will I have the hope to break through to the Emperor Wu realm in a short time, but also in the next 100 years, I can rely on the body of my ancestors' divine beast to break through to the martial god realm. Hearing Cold Cloud's refutation, the blood phoenix's eyes suddenly showed a trace of expectation and said, Father, if you are willing to let me go, when my cultivation reaches the peak of the 9th grade martial venerable, I can use the huge amount of qi and blood in my body to refine a drop of blood phoenix's blood for you. Refining a drop of pure blood phoenix's blood will make you fall from the peak of the 9th grade martial venerable realm to the early stage of the martial sage realm. You will be willing to pay for it. Hearing the blood phoenix's proposal, Cold Cloud immediately sneered and ridiculed. Lin Mengyao, stop dreaming, I will not let you escape. Cold Cloud's questioning counterattack made the blood phoenix's eyes, no, it made Lin Mengyao's eyes show disappointment and sorrow. Looking down at the blood pool filled with her own blood, Her eyes were replaced by coldness, and she could not help but remind him with a sneer. Cold Cloud, even if you use the method of extracting the soul and blood, it will take at least 20 years to refine a drop of pure blood phoenix's blood. With your talent and ancestors' bloodline, I am afraid that you will break through to the Emperor Wu realm in 20 years. What's the use of refining the blood phoenix's blood? Lin Mengyao, your reminder is very timely, so I have to use a special method to speed up the refining of the blood phoenix's blood. Hearing Lin Mengyao's reminder, Cold Cloud praised with a faint smile. Cold Cloud, what do you want to do? The information revealed by Cold Cloud's praise made Lin Mengyao's face change suddenly, and she asked, "Since the speed of extracting the soul and blood is too slow, I might as well use the method of burning the divine soul to speed up the process of refining the blood." Cold Cloud slowly rose into the air, although his face was blooming with a happy smile. The cruel means he said made Lin Mengyao feel extremely frightened, and she could not help but struggle. Lin Mengyao, how powerful is the power of the dark iron combined with the level 3/9 soul-softening powder? You have been trapped for more than a year, don't you know it in your heart? Although Lin Mengyao, who kept struggling, would eventually be unable to escape, her struggling body would affect his secret method of burning the divine soul. Therefore, Cold Cloud stood on the back of the blood phoenix, while using his powerful strength to suppress the blood phoenix's struggle. He reminded her with a sneer. So, Lin Mengyao, give up the futile struggle and obediently contribute the blood phoenix's blood in your body to help your father become an immortal god, and then lead the Lung family to become the master of the Tianxian continent. Chapter 1557. In the Qinling Mountains. Using his terrifying demigod divine sense, Thaling checked the entire Lung family from head to toe 3 times. In the end, not only did he not find Lin Mengyao's whereabouts, but he also did not find Cold Cloud, who had escaped in advance using an escape talisman. Looking at the Lung family's residence in front of him, and then turning his head to look at the depths of the mountains, Yu Haoran stopped Thaling, who was about to use his victor's energy to conduct a 4th round of search. Thaling, maybe Mengyao is not in the Ling family's residence. Yu Haoran's reminder and his action of looking into the depths of the mountains let Thaling immediately know what he was thinking. However, when he had just arrived at the periphery of the Qinling Mountains, he had already used his demigod divine sense to check the depths of the mountains. He knew that the Qinling Mountains were not only very wide, but there were also awakened emperor-level mutated beasts in the depths of the mountains. If he wanted to use his divine sense to search every corner of the Qinling Mountains, he was afraid that he would be so tired that he would vomit blood. He would not be able to search again in 10 days to half a month. Therefore, when he was about to persuade Yu Haoran to give up on this idea that would waste his soul power and have no effect, Yu Haoran suddenly bent his knees and sat down cross-legged. He took out a few strands of beautiful black hair and asked with a puzzled look in his eyes. Yu Haoran, Fushi's 8 trigrams divination technique is unable to accurately calculate Mengyao's exact location, right? When leaving the hidden dragon fortress in the central region, Yu Haoran had used Fushi's 8 trigrams divination technique to predict Lin Mengyao's safety and exact location when he was using Aotian's 8 trigrams divination technique. Although he has figured out that Zhou Mengyao is facing a life-threatening disaster, he can't figure out her exact whereabouts. It's just a feeling. Yu Haoran replied to Thaling's question while his 10 fingers quickly formed the divination technique. Just now, when I noticed the depths of the mountain range, I suddenly had a feeling that Meng Yao might be in the depths of the mountain range. If I follow my inner feelings and use the Fushi 8 trigrams to calculate again, the chances of success will be higher. As the hand seals formed by her fingers fused into her hair, it suddenly burst into flames and shot into the depths of the mountain range as a streak of fiery light. Thaling, I've found Mengyao's exact location. Yu Haoran reminded Thaling in his sea of consciousness as he quickly got up and chased after the fire. The powerful divine telekinesis of the demigod realm locked onto the fiery light that had rushed into the mountain ahead of time. It was also the first to discover the cave that Lin Mengyao was trapped in. Yu Haoran, not good, that girl Mengyao is about to die. After seeing Lin Mengyao's soul being ignited by the secret technique, Thaling's expression suddenly changed as he reminded Yu Haoran. Without the slightest hesitation, the law of speed that he mastered quickly fused into his body and suddenly increased his speed by more than 10 times, allowing him to finally enter the cave before the fire disappeared. Looking at the empty cave, Yu Haoran couldn't help but frown. When he thought about how Thaling had mentioned that Lin Mengyao was about to die, the violent emotions that surged in his heart made him unable to help but use the sky-shattering fist, a fist technique passed down from the ancestral witch, and directly punched through the entire mountain. After seeing the blood phoenix that was chained up by 3 mysterious dark iron, Yu Haoran's eyes were filled with blood-red anger as he roared. "Cold Cloud, you bastard! I'm going to pull out your tendons, peel off your skin, and then expose your soul to the scorching sun for 9 days and 9 nights. Watching the blood in the blood pool gradually condense into a fist-sized drop of essence blood that exuded a strange high temperature, Cold Cloud, who was standing on the back of the blood phoenix, showed an excited expression on his face. But at this moment, an earthquake and a familiar aura of the fist technique caused his expression to change, and he cursed in annoyance. "Damn it, how did that little bastard Yu Haoran find this place so quickly? No, even Yuan Songqiong, a giant of the diabolism, is no match for him. I'm no match for his palm and fist." When he heard Yu Haoran's roar from the cave passage that had been punched through, Cold Cloud's eyes flashed with a trace of determination. He immediately activated an escape talisman and directly put away the unrefined essence blood. In the end, before Yu Haoran reached the blood pool, Cold Cloud successfully escaped the scene. Mengyao. Ignoring Cold Cloud who had escaped, Yu Haoran looked at the huge blood phoenix that had been pierced through by the mysterious dark iron, and felt the little bit of soul power left in his soul. He could no longer control the sadness that emerged in his heart and shouted hoarsely. "Yu Shixiang, is that you?" Lin Mengyao, whose consciousness had been blurred, instinctively asked after hearing the voice that she had been thinking about day and night. At the same time, Thaling, who had quickly left the space of the knowledge sea, also used his powerful strength to forcibly stop the burning of his soul. But seeing the remaining trace of Lin Mengyao's soul, Thaling sighed and shook his head at Yu Haoran. Emperor Wu's powerful physical body directly shattered the mysterious dark iron, and then used his strength to support the huge body of the blood phoenix. He also mobilized all the origin power and soul power in his body and channeled it all into the blood phoenix. After losing the control of the mysterious dark iron on the blood phoenix transformation, and being nourished by Yu Haoran's origin power and soul power, Lin Mengyao, who had quickly changed back to her original appearance, slowly opened her eyes. Looking at Yu Haoran, whose eyes were full of tears but were unwilling to cry, Lin Mengyao's eyes revealed a look of surprise. Yu Shixiang, when Mengyao knew that she was going to die, she had bitterly begged the heavens and the Tao of heaven. Lin Mengyao said with a happy smile on her face, as she stretched out her pale hand and wiped away the tears hanging at the corner of Yu Haoran's eyes. "As long as I can see Yu Shixiang one more time before I die, no matter what you want me to do in my next life, I, Lin Mengyao, am willing. It seems that the heavens and the Tao of heaven heard my pleas and sent you to my side before I die. Mengyao, don't say anything, don't think about anything, I will definitely not let you die." Feeling the terrible situation in Lin Mengyao's body and hearing her pouring out her feelings, Yu Haoran, who was filled with endless regret and self-blame, said to Lin Mengyao with a sorrowful expression. Then, he shouted to Thaling, who had returned to his sea of consciousness. "Thaling, come out." Pointing at Lin Mengyao, who had a trace of doubt in her eyes, Yu Haoran demanded rudely. "Thaling, I don't care what method you use, even if it overdrafts Yu Haoran's 5,000 years of life. I will save Meng Yao. Ha! In the face of Yu Haoran's unreasonable demand, Thaling sighed without the slightest anger, then stretched out his hand and flicked a drop of myriad drug milk into Lin Mengyao's mouth, leaving behind a few words of advice before returning to his sea of consciousness. Chapter 1558. In the Qinling Mountains. After knowing each other for several years, Yu Haoran was too familiar with Thaling's character. Even if Lin Mengyao still had a glimmer of hope, he would absolutely not stand by and watch. Looking at the weak girl lying in his arms, looking at the happy smile on her face, the fierce impact of sadness and self-blame made him finally unable to control his emotions and shed tears. Yu Shixiang, you are an indomitable man, don't let tears destroy your great image in my heart. Her life was about to come to an end, making her cherish every minute and every second with the person she loved. Therefore, Lin Mengyao did not ask who the middle-aged expert was, just reached out her hand to wipe away Yu Haoran's tears that made her feel sweet, and tried to sound as mischievous as possible to comfort him. Moreover, Mengyao is really happy now, really happy. Since Lin Mengyao only had 5 minutes left, it was important to tell each other how much they missed each other, but Yu Haoran wanted her to leave this world without any regrets. Therefore, reaching out his hand to hold Lin Mengyao's hand that was wiping away her tears, forcibly suppressing the sadness and self-blame in his heart, and then asked tenderly, Mengyao, do you have any unfulfilled wishes? After thinking carefully, Lin Mengyao's eyes were filled with a trace of yearning as she said, Yu Shixiang, it is said that the most beautiful flower in the world is called the epiphyllum, symbolizing the most beautiful love in the world. I don't know if you can plant an epiphyllum in front of my grave in the future. Blooming under the moon, the epiphyllum only appears briefly as way to a. Hearing Lin Mengyao mention the epiphyllum in her first wish, Yu Haoran thought of a poignant love story that his mother told him when he was young, and instantly understood the feelings she wanted to express. Mengyao, on a peculiar mountain peak at the border between the central domain and the western domain, there is an epiphyllum that no one will ever forget after seeing it. Senior brother will personally plant that epiphyllum in front of your grave, Yu Haoran promised tenderly as he tightly held Lin Mengyao's jade hands that were gradually turning cold. Lin Mengyao, who had a happy smile on her face, looked at the few remaining tears in Yu Haoran's eyes. A trace of hesitation appeared in her eyes. However, when she thought about the time she was imprisoned, the only thing that kept her alive was the hope that she could stay by her lover's side forever in the future. In the end, she gritted her teeth and asked, Yu Shixiang, Mengyao, I heard that in order to marry Princess Ling Fei, you specially built a residence that can float in the air forever, like a fairyland, right? That's right. While nodding to confirm, Yu Haoran forced out a smile and said, Mengyao, in that forever floating residence, there will always be a room that belongs to you. Hearing Yu Haoran's expression of affection, Lin Mengyao carefully asked, while feeling pleasantly surprised in her heart, Yu Shixiang, after Mengyao dies, can Mengyao be buried in a corner of the residence so that Mengyao can stay by senior brother's side forever? Mengyao, not long after the residence is built, my sister and I will personally move our parents' graves to the residence. At that time, you will be buried in the ancestral grave of the residence as the daughter-in-law of the Yu family. Yu Haoran gently pulled Lin Mengyao into his embrace as he promised. Haoran, forcefully responding to Yu Haoran's hug, Lin Mengyao cried out involuntarily with a mixture of sadness and joy. Although she was greedy for the sweet feeling of being tightly hugged by her lover, when she thought about how there was not much time left for her by fate, she still had one last wish that had yet to be fulfilled. Therefore, gently pushing away Yu Haoran's embrace, Lin Mengyao asked in a soft voice with a trace of shyness, Haoran, are you willing to take me as your wife? Silly girl, if you are not my wife, then what qualifications do you have to live in my Yu family's ancestral grave? Yu Haoran stretched out his hand and stroked Lin Mengyao's nose as he criticized her with heartache. Haoran, before Mengyao dies, can you give Meng Yao a real wedding? Without any change in her expression because of Yu Haoran's heartache, Lin Mingyao's eyes were filled with boundless longing as she asked. Wedding, a formal wedding, a wedding that could be held together with her lover, was not only her dream, but also her mother's lifelong regret. Thaling, Aotian, Heixiong. The longing in Lin Mingyao's eyes, as well as the traces left behind by her mother that she had mentioned in her previous life, made Yu Haoran's heart ache even more. He immediately summoned all of his helpers. Thaling used the fastest speed to refine the world's most beautiful wedding dress. No problem. Thaling nodded solemnly in response. At the same time, he returned to his sea of consciousness and began to use the most ordinary materials to refine the world's most beautiful wedding dress. Heixiong used the gravity technique to create a tower-shaped mountain peak for me. Yes, master. Heixiong, who had just advanced to the venerable realm not long ago, responded to the order. Like a cannonball, he directly blasted a spacious and bright passage through the mountain peak above his head. Afterwards, with the mountain peak as the foundation, Heixiong used the gravity technique to create a tower-shaped mountain peak that was 999 meters tall in a short 3 seconds. Aotian immediately used the divine might contained in the divine dragon's corpse, then summon all of the exotic beasts above the 10th rank in the Qinling mountain range to the mountain peak that Heixiong built. Yes, master. After responding to the order, Aotian used the beast pet contract to enter the victor. After extracting the remaining divine dragon's energy in the dragon bone, he flew through the spacious passage that Heixiong created and flew to the sky above the Qinling mountain range. Roar! Knowing that time was of the essence, Aotian could only let out an endless dragon roar to the entire Qinling mountain range in 1 to 2 minutes to summon all of the exotic beasts in the mountain range. Along with the dragon roar that contained divine might, all of the exotic beasts in the Qinling mountain range, whether it was the Emperor Realm exotic beasts that had just awakened, or the exotic beasts that had been reared by the Lung family, or the exotic beasts in the Qinling mountain range, flew into the air, or stepped on their 4 hooves, and desperately rushed to the location where Yinglong roared. The dragon's roar that contains a trace of divine might is the gathering of countless exotic beasts in the Qinling mountain range. A martial sage expert of the Lung family who was proficient in beast taming speculated as he looked into the depths of the Qinling mountain range with a hint of expectation. It seems that some shocking changes are happening in the depths of the Qinling mountain range. Jiexiong, don't think about it. Even if there is a heaven-defying opportunity to become a venerable or emperor in the depths of the Qinling mountain range, you and I can forget about leaving the family now. Just as the martial sage expert finished his speculation, a white-haired old man standing next to him reminded him with a hint of hesitation in his eyes. After all, the Patriarch has just issued an order to prohibit all of the experts above the martial sage realm in the family from leaving. Sigh. However, Emperor Wu advanced mighty figures who were level 7 and above not only had the strength of their physical body to withstand the attack of an upper Emperor realm weapon, but also had the power of law that had completely integrated into their physical body. Even if they were in a deep sleep, they would still have the strength to fight back fiercely. Therefore, if he wanted to avenge Lin Mengyao, he had to have the strength to deal with the 3 sleeping Emperor Wu advanced mighty figures. Yu Haoran, don't worry. Leave the 3 sleeping guys to me. Although Yu Haoran did not say it directly, Thaling, who knew his character very well, knew that he wanted the entire Lin clan to die with Lin Mengyao. To put it simply, he wanted to slaughter the entire Lin clan. Lin Mengyao's experience, Cold Cloud's beastly behavior, and Yu Haoran's grief made Thaling suppress a surge of anger in his heart. Therefore, in the face of Yu Haoran's plan to slaughter the entire Lin clan, not only did he not oppose it, but he also supported it with his own actions. Senior brother, I'm done changing. After hearing Thaling's practical actions to support his idea of taking revenge on the Lung clan, Yu Haoran was about to thank him when Lin Mingyao's voice came from behind him. Turning his head, Yu Haoran only took one glance and was completely stunned. Beautiful! The white corset dress set off the delicate and charming temperament, making Lin Mengyao look like a fairy from 100 flowers, making people want to take good care of her. Senior brother, am I beautiful? Looking at the stunned Yu Haoran, Lin Mengyao felt a sense of joy in her heart. She wanted to hear his heartfelt praise. My celestial robe dyed the sky blue, begging to see the dawn. Yu Haoran couldn't help but sigh as he walked to Lin Mengyao's side and looked at her blushing face. Mengyao, you're too beautiful. You're so beautiful that you're like an otherworldly firework, like a fairy dancing among 100 flowers. After praising her from the bottom of his heart, Yu Haoran took out a sky-blue robe that Emperor Qin ordered the Imperial Household Department to embroider for him from his storage ring. After changing out of his old robe, he reached out and held Lin Mengyao's lily-white hand. Then, he took out the rainbow auspicious cloud that Thaling had specially refined for him and Qin Lingfei when he was engaged to her. Then, he stepped on the rainbow auspicious cloud and came to the surface through the spacious passage that He Xiong had opened. At this time, tens of thousands of strange beasts of different grades and species had gathered around under Ao Tion's summoning. At the front of the tens of thousands of strange beasts stood 5 petite emperor-level strange beasts that exuded a terrifying aura. Human powerhouses, why did you ask Yinglong to use the divine power of the dragon god to summon us? Looking at Yinglong, who was quickly shrinking its body and standing respectfully behind Yu Haoran, a green flood dragon on the east side, who was only about 2 meters tall and looked very similar to a human, asked in a relatively polite tone. 5 seniors, time is of the essence. There's no time to explain the situation in detail. I can only make it short. Yu Haoran cupped his fists and explained briefly to the 5 emperor-level beasts around him. My beloved wife was assassinated by a vile person. Her soul spontaneously combusted until only a fragment of her soul was left. I promise to give my beloved wife an unforgettable wedding before she dies. At this point, Yu Haoran bowed to the tens of thousands of strange beasts in the surroundings, then straightened his body and requested. Therefore, I asked Yinglong to summon all of you here with the power of the dragon god in the hopes that you can witness our wedding. Most of the strange beasts that were able to arrive at the scene immediately were powerful strange beasts above the refined saint stage in the Qinling mountain range. With their sensitivity to auras, they had long noticed that Lin Mengyao's aura was not right. At the same time, from the shyness on Lin Mengyao's face, the joy in her heart, and the anger that Yu Haoran had been suppressing, the strange beasts at the scene believed his explanation and request. Although they had no interest in witnessing a human wedding, the terrifying power in Yu Haoran's body made the 5 newly awakened emperor-level strange beasts realize that the young human in front of them had the terrifying strength to defeat or even kill them. Chapter 1560. In the Qinling Mountains. Thank you. Yu Haoran cupped his hands and thanked the tens of thousands of strange beasts after getting the approval of the 5 emperor-level strange beasts. Then, he held Lin Mengyao's hand again and led her to the tower-shaped mountain peak that the black bear condensed with the gravity spell. Mengyao, when I was young, I heard my mother tell me a love story about a flower fairy and a human. It was said that in the Middle Ages, there was a god who used flowers to prove his Tao. The god had the most beautiful flower in the world under his throne. This beautiful flower listened to the god's preaching all year round and gradually gained its own intelligence. After 10,000 years of cultivation, it gained its own abhijna. In the end, it could transform into a peerless beauty that could topple countries and cities. She was deeply loved by the god and was given the name Epiphyllum. The god had a total of 99 disciples. The 99th disciple was a person who was stupid and didn't know how to be flexible. He was often bullied and humiliated by the other disciples. But not only did that disciple never get angry, she also maintained a kind and honest personality. Perhaps it was because of that disciple's honest and kind personality, or perhaps it was because that disciple often took care of the epiphyllum before she achieved Tao. The epiphyllum unknowingly fell in love with that disciple. In the Middle Ages, there was absolutely no private relationship between the different races. So when the god found out that his favorite epiphyllum fell in love with his disciple, he was furious and punished her. Although she had his yuan qi and soul power, it would be very difficult for Lin Mengyao, whose soul was about to collapse, to reach the peak of 999 meters in just a minute was probably very difficult. Therefore, Yu Haoran loosened his tightly clenched hands and directly hugged Lin Mengyao's slender waist. He let her use her own strength to quickly climb up and continued to tell the love story between her and the tower-like mountain peak in front of them. Perhaps it was because the love between the epiphyllum and that disciple moved the heavens, or perhaps it was because the god liked the epiphyllum too much and couldn't bear to see her die. In the end, the god gave the epiphyllum and that disciple a test. Pointing at the mountain under his feet, Yu Haoran continued with a complicated look in his eyes. The gods used their divine powers to create a tower that is 999 meters tall. As long as that disciple can reach the tower from the bottom in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, not only will that disciple be able to see the epiphyllum again, but they will also become a family member. Lin Mengyao interrupted Yu Haoran all of a sudden. She frowned and asked, "Senior brother, if he's a disciple of a god, then that disciple must be at a high rank." The tower is only 999 meters tall. He can reach it in a flash. Mengyao, if the gods agree with the love between Tan Hua and that disciple, why would they deliberately set up a test that seems simple but is actually impossible to complete? Tightly hugging Lin Mengyao's small waist, Yu Haoran's expression carried a trace of contempt as he mocked. That disciple not only has to have his cultivation sealed by the gods to pass through the 999 meters tall tower, but he also has to go through 999 bolts of lightning during the climb. Yu Haoran said with a tinge of sadness as he stepped onto the pagoda-shaped peak and looked down at the tens of thousands of mutated beasts below. He then looked at the Lung clan in the periphery of the Qinling mountain range. That disciple, in order to be able to marry the woman he loved, could be said to have risked his life. Although he finally succeeded in reaching the peak before the incense burned out, because he lost all the blood in his body and his soul was completely dried up, he fell at a position only 3 meters away from the epiphyllum. Watching the man she loved die in front of her eyes, the grief-stricken epiphyllum chose to burn her divine soul to accompany him in the way of blooming her own flower. Epiphyllum blossoms for a brief moment, but the beauty of the city is still there. She will accompany the Buddha for the rest of her life. Yu Haoran put away his complicated feelings and cupped his fists to the tens of thousands of beasts. I wonder if there are any friends here who are familiar with human marriage ceremonies? Me. A handsome blazing horse with red and white stripes at the peak of the 7th grade of the Exalt realm responded loudly and soared into the sky while stepping on a cloud of fire. This is a 2nd rank, 1st rank fire cloud pill. It can help you reach the 8th rank of the Exalted realm directly. Consider it your reward. Yu Haoran took out a pill that was emitting a scorching aura from his storage ring and flicked it to the flame horse as he explained with a smile. Just by presiding over a wedding that couldn't be any simpler, he was able to obtain a pill that could directly increase his Exalt realm. Some of the exotic beasts present, who were also familiar with human weddings, instantly felt extremely vexed. Yu Haoran transferred a stream of pure origin energy and soul power into Zhou Mengyao's body and covered her with the red silk cloth. Yu Haoran stepped back 3 steps and nodded to the fiery horse. First, bow to heaven and earth. Yu Haoran and Lin Mengyao got down on their knees and bowed to heaven and earth. Second, bow to your parents. Yu Haoran and Lin Mengyao got down on their knees in the direction of Xianying City in the south. Husband and wife bow to each other. Yu Haoran looked at each other and got down on his knees. After kowtowing, he raised his head and roared at the sky, unable to control the sadness in his heart. Mengyao! At this moment, Zhou Mengyao was still kneeling and kowtowing, but her breath of life had completely disappeared. Yu Haoran, let the blood of the 73,537 members of the Lung family ignite the endless anger that Mengyao brought to you. Thaling, who was also enraged, reminded Yu Haoran when he heard Yu Haoran's sorrowful roar. Let the lives of the Ling family's 73,537 clansmen be buried with Mengyao. Hearing the tower spirit's murderous reminder, Yu Haoran stops his sorrowful roar. Strong murderous intent slowly rises from his body. He stands up and walks to Zhou Mengyao. He carefully lifts her up. Mengyao, my wife, your husband is going to take off the red silk on your head and finish the last step of our wedding. Yu Haoran helped Lin Mengyao up with one hand and took off the red silk on her head. A happy smile hung on her pale face. The remaining tears in her eyes were telling of her grievances and unwillingness. Mengyao, my wife, you didn't mention the Ling family or Cold Cloud in your last wish. But I know how much you hate him. Yu Haoran wiped away some tears from Lin Mengyao's eyes and carried her on his back. He secured her with the dragon-snaring lasso and left the tower. Mengyao, now that you are my wife, Yu Haoran, I, as your husband, have the responsibility to avenge you. I have the ability to bury the entire Lung family with you. Chapter 1561. In the Qinling Mountains. Seeing the murderous aura around them materialize, and hearing the mutterings, the same thought flashed through the minds of the 5 great emperor-level beasts at the same time. The green serpent, who'd spoken to Yu Haoran earlier, took the initiative to ask, "Human powerhouse, what are you planning to do?" "Murder. Extermination." Yu Haoran, who didn't stop, replied in a frosty voice. "Human expert, you may be strong, so strong that even the 5 of us are no match for you, but the Lung clan has 3 terrifyingly powerful hidden experts." With Yu Haoran's confirmation, the 5 great Emperor Realm beasts' eyes lit up with delight. But the green serpent had a good impression of this human who was different from the beast. It couldn't bear to see him die in vain, so it took the initiative to remind him. "Given your current strength, I'm afraid you won't be able to escape death if you face the 3 top experts. One is Emperor Wu, another is Emperor Wu, and the other is a peak Emperor Wu. Since I dared to choose to wipe out the clan, I naturally have the means to do so." Stopping, Yu Haoran's expression was as cold as ever. He took the initiative to invite them. "In order to thank you for witnessing my wedding with my wife, Mengyao, you can arrive at the Lung clan in half an hour. At that time, without the threat of Emperor Wu, everything in the Lung clan will belong to you." Without waiting for the 5 great emperors to reply, Yu Haoran continued to walk towards the Lung clan on the outskirts of the Qinling Mountains. "Brother Green, do you think this human is lying to us?" An early first-stage Great Emperor Silvermoon Wolf glared fiercely at Yu Haoran, its tone full of doubt. The other 3 beast emperors nodded in agreement. The Silver Moon Wolf nodded doubtfully. "You guys, you've been sleeping for so long that you've almost lost your minds." The green serpent couldn't help but laugh bitterly when it saw its 4 companions' doubts about the human expert. As great emperors, our divine senses can extend to a range of 20,000 kilometers. Even if we don't move, we can still know what the Lung clan is doing. It won't be too late for us to decide whether to attack the Lung clan after the human expert kills the 3 Emperor Wu's powerful experts who are a threat to us. The 4 great emperors giggled sheepishly when they heard the green dragon's explanation. Then, they activated their great emperor-level consciousness and began to monitor the Lung clan's every move. In the central square of the Lung clan, Lung Qingtao, the great elder of the Lung clan, whose cultivation had reached the peak of peak grade 9 martial honorable realm and was preparing to break through to the martial emperor realm, asked with a puzzled expression as he looked at the over 7,000 experts above the martial sage realm in the central square of the mansion. Patriarch, may I know why you've gathered all the clansmen above the martial saint realm? Great Elder, a strong enemy of the Ling clan will be here soon, Lung Cloud said worriedly as he looked into the depths of the Qinling Mountains. Who is it? Ling Qintao asked with a murderous look. As the Lung clan that had been passed down since ancient times, although they had encountered the crisis of being exterminated several times in the process of passing down their bloodline, they had relied on the various heaven-defying methods of the divine beast phoenix in their ancestors' bloodline. In the end, they had successfully survived the crisis, and had been passed down until now. Moreover, as the heavenly rules fell into a deep slumber, the environment gradually improved and the sleeping Emperor Wu's ancestors began to awaken. The Lung clan gradually returned to its peak. Even the 4 great guardian clans didn't dare to offend the Lung clan when they were at their peak. Who would dare to provoke them and seek revenge? The champion of the 5 regions' hidden dragon fortress battle, Yu Haoran, who had advanced to the Emperor realm through alchemy and formations. According to Yu Haoran's character of seeking revenge for the slightest grievance, after seeing Zhou Mingyao's self-burning soul, he would definitely come here for bloody and crazy revenge. Sooner or later, he would encounter these clansmen in front of them. Therefore, Ling Yun doesn't hide anything and tells the truth. Clan leader, the Lung clan doesn't seem to have any grudges with Yu Haoran. Why would he seek revenge on the Lung clan? When Cold Cloud mentioned that the enemy was Yu Haoran, Lung Qintao, who also knew Yu Haoran, couldn't help but frown and ask. It's my fault. Since he wanted to use the entire Lung clan to seek revenge on Yu Haoran, Cold Cloud had already thought of a countermeasure when he used the escape talisman to escape back to the clan. Therefore, when he heard the Great Elder's question, Cold Cloud immediately put on a self-reproaching expression and said, Great Elder, you should know that my daughter, Mengyao, was once a disciple of the 100 Qi Gate before she activated the ancestral bloodline in her body. I know. Ling Qintao nodded and said with a trace of contempt in his eyes. But didn't that bitch secretly escape from the clan because she disobeyed the clan's arrangements? Yes. Seeing that the Great Elder was so cooperative, Cold Cloud, who was secretly delighted, immediately pretended to be angry and said, But what I didn't expect was that Yu Haoran was not only a disciple of the 100 Qi Gate, but also secretly had feelings for Mengyao. Therefore, after the 5 regions hidden dragon ranking battle ended, he began to ask about Mengyao's situation and whereabouts. Clan leader, what did you do? Lung Qingyuan quickly asked. Great Elder, what else could I do? I could only tell the truth. Cold Cloud said with an innocent expression as he spread out his hands. Then, he continued with an angry expression on his face. But what I didn't expect was that Yu Haoran actually relied on his slightly superior strength to force and humiliate me. Moreover, when I used the escape talisman to leave the hidden dragon fortress in the central region, he said that he would immediately go to the Lung clan in the Qinling mountain range and turn the entire Lung clan upside down to find Mengyao. If he still couldn't find Mengyao, then he would bury the entire Lung clan with Mengyao. Damn it! Damn it! Bastard! After hearing Cold Cloud's eloquent narration, many top martial honorables of the Lung clan could not help but curse angrily. However, there was a white-haired elder at the scene who revealed a trace of suspicion in his eyes. When he thought of the monstrous martial talent Yu Haoran had displayed in the southern region and the 5 regions hidden dragon ranking, and the shocking achievements of Yu Haoran in the alchemy Dao and the formation Dao, the white-haired elder thought that it was better to make enemies than to resolve them. Just as he was about to question some of the doubtful points in Cold Cloud's narration, a furious roar suddenly came from outside the Lung clan's mansion. Chapter 1562. in the Qinling Mountains, in front of the Ling family's residence. Stepping on the void, carrying his beloved wife. Yu Haoran seemed to be walking slowly, but in reality, he only took less than a minute to reach the Ling family's residence. However, he did not act rashly for the time being. Instead, he waited for Thaling and his second clone to use the nimble chessboard to set up a deadly trap before he shouted at the Ling family's residence. Cold Cloud, you're worse than a pig or a dog. Come out and die. Which blind fellow dares to cause trouble in the Ling family, which has been passed down since ancient times? I think you're tired of living. Just as Yu Haoran's voice fell, a similarly irascible rebuke rang out. Along with the irritable voice, a middle-aged man with a face full of sideburns and cultivation at the peak of the 7th grade venerable realm rushed out of the residence. The violent, murderous intent that had accumulated in Yu Haoran's heart exploded the moment he saw the Ling family's people. The moment the other party rushed out of the residence, the flash law that had merged with his body was smashed into a bloody mist by his palm technique. Yu Haoran, how dare you kill the Ling family's hall master? Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, I, Cold Cloud, will definitely turn you into ashes. When Cold Cloud saw the hall master, who was at the peak of the 7th grade venerable realm, being smashed into a bloody mist by Yu Haoran, his heart was filled with boundless joy. However, his face was filled with sadness and anger as he shouted. When they heard that the young man who had killed the hall master was Yu Haoran, who had come to take revenge on the Ling family, more than 10 martial venerable realm experts immediately rushed out of the square and surrounded Yu Haoran, who was outside the residence. The flash law and the speed law, combined with Emperor Wu's physical strength, made Yu Haoran instantly become the Grim Reaper who reaped lives. The 13 top-notch martial venerables who had just rushed out of the mansion were all blasted into a bloody mist in just 1 second. Sizzle! Seeing the 13 peerless powerhouses at the peak of the martial honorable realm being slaughtered in just 1 second, the Lung clan's square was instantly filled with gasps of astonishment. The white-haired old man, who was also shocked, gradually turned his attention to the girl in a white tunic dress who was crawling on Yu Haoran's back. This was because he felt that the girl was familiar. At the same time, he was curious about why Yu Haoran was carrying a corpse. Hence, after using his eyes to stop Cold Cloud, who was trying to incite the clan members to continue fighting, the white-haired old man, he flew to the edge of the residence and cupped his hands to salute. Lung Shengdao, greet Pil Emperor Yu. He is a peak 1st grade martial emperor. However, because his aura is not in harmony with the world, he can only barely display the strength of an early martial emperor. Yu Haoran said coldly as he raised his head to look at Lung Shengdao, who was standing in the air inside the mansion, unwilling to take the risk of coming out. You must be the ancestor of the Ling family who has just awakened. Pil Emperor Yu, you have good eyesight. I am indeed the ancestor of the Ling family who has just awakened. Although Yu Haoran's cold and rude attitude made Lung Shengdao slightly unhappy, not only could the other party see through his true cultivation and strength at a glance, but he could also sense that his aura was in harmony with the heaven and earth. This was enough to show that the other party had a terrifying strength that was not inferior to his own. Therefore, Lung Shengdao forcefully suppressed the displeasure in his heart and continued to praise with a gentle attitude. Since you are the ancestor of the Lung family, then you have the right and ability to decide the life and death of the entire Lung family, right? Yu Haoran asked coldly as he temporarily retracted the strong murderous aura emitting from his body. Although he had already decided to slaughter the entire Ling family, Yu Haoran did not want Cold Cloud to die so easily. He wanted to see Cold Cloud being abandoned by the Ling family step by step. When Cold Cloud was in despair, he wanted to directly extract his divine soul and expose it under the scorching sun for 9 days and 9 nights. That's right. Lung Shengdao nodded and admitted. Yu Haoran reached out and gently lifted Lin Mingyao's chin. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he asked, Then, please take a look at who she is and how she died. Lin Mengyao? Isn't that Lin Mengyao who has been missing for more than half a year? After seeing Yu Haoran gently lifting Lin Mengyao's chin and revealing her peerless appearance, exclamations immediately came from the square of the residence. When Ling Xingdao heard his clansmen recognizing the girl's origin, a look of understanding flashed across his eyes. Then, he mobilized a trace of divine thought to approach Lin Mengyao, wanting to check the cause of her death. However, considering Yu Haoran's terrifying strength and his murderous aura towards the Ling family, Ling Xingdao's extended divine thought stopped as soon as it left the residence. Don't worry, I will never launch a sneak attack. Looking at the trace of divine thought that stopped 3 meters away from him, Yu Haoran calmly guaranteed. Thank you. After thanking him, Lung Xingdao's divine thought successfully entered Lin Mengyao's body. Then, a strong murderous aura surged from his body as he gritted his teeth and muttered to himself. Burning soul and refining blood. That's right. While nodding to confirm the results of Ling Xingdao's examination, Yu Haoran carefully let Lin Mengyao climb back onto his left shoulder. Then, he regained his indifferent expression and said, through a secret method, Mengyao's divine soul burned automatically, and then with the help of the high-temperature soul power formed when the divine soul burned, it accelerated the refining of the blood phoenix essence contained in her body. At this point, Yu Haoran first glanced at Cold Cloud, who was pretending to be calm, and then looked at Ling Xingdao with a sneer. As the patriarch of the Ling family, Emperor Wu is a powerful expert at the peak of the first-grade realm. You should be able to guess who the murderer who hurt Mengyao is. After hearing Yu Haoran's reminder, Ling Xingdao's expression was as cold as frost as he questioned sternly, Patriarch, what exactly is going on? Perhaps it was because he was too eager to obtain the blood phoenix essence at that time, or perhaps it was because Yu Haoran's arrival was too sudden. Cold Cloud forgot to eliminate the residual aura of the secret method when he used the escape talisman to escape from the underground of the mountain peak. In the end, when Ling Xingdao checked Lin Mengyao's sea of consciousness, he found a trace of residual clues. Patriarch, I don't understand what you mean. Cold Cloud, who immediately guessed the reason for the questioning and quickly came up with a plan to deal with it, asked Ling Xingdao's frosty question with eyes full of doubt. Why is there a residual aura of your divine soul in Mengyao's sea of consciousness? Ling Xingdao further explained and questioned. This is very normal. Cold Cloud, who pretended that the doubts in his eyes had disappeared, said in a matter-of-fact tone. Chapter 1563. In the Qinling Mountains, in front of the Ling family mansion, in the eyes of the Ling family members, Cold Cloud was a leader with great foresight and the ability to devise strategies. He was a qualified leader who could lead the family to continuous development. At the same time, he was amiable, fair, and just. He respected the old and loved the young, so he was deeply respected and loved by the Ling clan. Otherwise, it would be impossible for all the Ling clan experts above the martial sage realm to gather at his command. Faced with ancestor Ling Xingdao's questioning, the Ling family members' first reaction was disbelief. They suspected that he had made a mistake in his judgment. In the face of Cold Cloud's seemingly reasonable but actually flawed reasoning, the Ling family members nodded their heads and believed him without a doubt. Family leader, I'm not so old that I can't see clearly. I can still tell what the remnant soul power in Meng Yao's mind has done. Cold Cloud's sophistry and the Ling family members' ignorance made Ling Xingda angry. His face gradually darkened as he mocked. Ancestor, not only is Ling Yun the patriarch of the clan, he's also a clansman who possesses the direct bloodline. Could it be that you'd rather believe in the scheme of an enemy than believe in the innocence of your own clansman? In the face of Ling Xingda's mockery, Cold Cloud immediately pretended to be aggrieved and questioned him. At the same time, The more than 7,000 Ling family members in the mansion square also looked at him with suspicion and dissatisfaction. After all, Lung Xingda had been in a deep sleep for too long. Not only did he not have deep feelings for his family members, but the Lung family also didn't have any direct relatives. In the face of Ling Yun's sophistry and the doubts and dissatisfaction of his clansmen, Lung Xingda, an almighty expert in the martial emperor realm, was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. At this moment, he couldn't wait to use the demonic sex soul-searching technique to personally check Cold Cloud's memories. He wanted to see how many despicable and shameless things this person who always talked about righteousness and morality had done. At the same time, he wanted to let the Lung family members who trusted Cold Cloud see how the family leader they respected and trusted was a treacherous liar. Xingda, you're wrong. Just as Ling Xingda couldn't control the anger in his heart and was about to personally teach Cold Cloud a lesson and even search his memories, the voice of another Emperor Wu family member sounded in his mind. Seventh uncle. Lung Xingda hurriedly used the same method of divine thought transmission. Xingda, even if the secret technique of burning the soul and refining the blood was done by Ling Yun, no matter what, he is still the patriarch of our Lung clan. Not only does he represent the face of our Lung clan, he also symbolizes the unity of our Lung clan. Xingda, what you need to do at this time is not to question Ling Yun's actions, but to use your powerful strength to directly kill Yu Haoran, consolidate your position in the hearts of the clansmen, and raise your reputation in the clan. After all, you and I have been sleeping for too long. Our clansmen have long forgotten about us. Right now, we need the enemy's blood to demonstrate and seize the prestige and position that we deserve. Lung Xingda couldn't help but fall into deep thought when he heard the elder's suggestion. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that seventh uncle's suggestion was reasonable. The more he felt it was reasonable, the anger in his body gradually subsided. Yu Haoran raised his head and glanced at the depths of the Ling family's mansion. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He began to reactivate Emperor Wu's physical body, preparing to face his first strong opponent after his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Family leader, I thought about it carefully just now. I feel that your explanation is indeed reasonable. You have no reason to do such a cruel thing to your own daughter. After careful consideration, Lung Xingda finally decided to accept seventh uncle's suggestion. He cupped his hands and expressed his attitude to Cold Cloud again. Then, he turned around and looked at Yu Haoran coldly. It seems that you have been brainwashed by a more despicable and cold-blooded person than Cold Cloud. Yu Haoran couldn't help but sigh in disappointment when he saw Ling Xingda's murderous eyes. He sneered and ridiculed him indirectly while taking out the special glove magic tool he had obtained when he killed Gu Xing, the last opponent in the Hidden Dragon ranking. Back then, the pagoda spirit had carefully examined the gloves, which were sometimes at the peak of the supreme level of the Exalt realm and sometimes infinitely close to the lower level of the Emperor realm. In the end, it concluded that it was an incomplete magic tool. After Thalink's modification and tempering, the special glove had not only successfully advanced to the low-grade Emperor realm, but also became more suitable for his ancestral witch body. Yu Haoran, using a fake corpse, not only did you kill 14 top venerable realm experts of the Lung family, but you also dared to insult the family leader who represents the face of the Lung family. Ignoring the low-grade Emperor realm glove that Yu Haoran took out, Lung Xingda's attitude quickly changed, and he scolded with a righteous attitude. As the ancestor of the Ling family in the Emperor Wu realm, how can I allow a junior like you to continue being so arrogant? Junior, die. When Lung Xingda flashed out of the Ling family's mansion, he directly hit Zhou Mengyao, who was behind Yu Haoran, with a palm technique beyond the heavenly level and a shout. He intended to destroy Zhou Mengyao first. Old thing, you're courting death. Originally, Yu Haoran wanted to test his true strength after breaking through by fighting with Lung Xingda, who was at the peak of the first-grade Emperor Wu realm. However, the fact that Lung Shengda dared to attack Lin Mingyao's corpse was tantamount to touching his reverse scale. This made him instantly feel the anger in his body burning. Sky-shattering fist. Without any hesitation, he directly overdrew a part of the ancestral witch's bloodline in exchange for a stronger strength, faster speed, and more powerful ancestral witch's inherited fist technique at the same time. Boom! Overdrawing a part of the ancestral witch's bloodline allowed the power of the sky-shattering fist to reach the peak of the first-grade Emperor Wu realm. However, limited by the fact that his strength had not fully recovered and his aura was repelled by the environment, Lung Shengda could only exert the strength of the first-grade Emperor Wu realm. Therefore, in the face of the tearing power of the first-grade Emperor Wu realm, the supreme venerable realm magic weapon on his body was quickly destroyed and his flesh was instantly torn apart. Ah! The instant when his flesh and internal organs were torn apart, Lung Shengda could not help but howl in pain. Before it could truly display its terrifying strength, it was completely reduced to dancing energy that filled the sky. When the white-haired old man saw that his bloodline inheritance martial skill, which he had unleashed with all his might, was easily torn apart by the other party's fist technique, a trace of panic emerged in his heart. At the same time, he finally understood why Lung Shengda was killed so easily. In terms of cultivation, Emperor Wu, a white-haired elder at the early stage of Level 2, had an overwhelming advantage. However, Yu Haoran's strength, which had yet to fully recover, and his aura, which was incompatible with the environment, made the white-haired old man realize that he was still far from being Yu Haoran's match. Therefore, the white-haired old man instructed Cold Cloud, who had a gloomy expression, when he used his Yuan Qi to send Lung Shengda's corpse to the mansion square. Patriarch, immediately bring the 7 elders who are at the peak of Level 9 Martial Venerable Realm to the family's forbidden area. Then, use your own phoenix blood to awaken Ancestor Fengqing. Ancestor, could it be that even you are not a match for Yu Haoran? After hearing the white-haired old man's instructions, Cold Cloud could not help but ask with a sudden change in expression. If I had 2 more days to recover my strength, I would be able to easily crush him to death with just 1 finger. However, I can't do that now. After hearing Cold Cloud's shocked questioning, the white-haired old man complained with an unwilling expression. However, when he felt the fluctuation of the fist technique behind him, he immediately urged Cold Cloud with an anxious expression. Hurry up and awaken Ancestor Fengqing. I will hold this junior back for the time being. Giving the white-haired old man time to instruct Cold Cloud, in addition to the time needed to prepare 3 consecutive fist techniques, was also to buy more time for Thaling to kill the 3 ancestors of the Lung clan. Just as he had just finished accumulating the energy to perform the fist technique, he received the news of success from Thaling through his divine sense. Thus, he began to perform the fist technique with confidence. Fist suppressing the earth. Fist breaking the firmament. Fist shattering the Milky Way. Seeing Yu Haoran perform 3 powerful inherited fist techniques in one breath, the white-haired old man could not help but change his expression. At the same time, he hurriedly gritted his teeth and overdrew a portion of his qi and blood that he had painstakingly recovered. He also performed 3 bloodline inherited palm techniques in succession. Phoenix rescues the world. Phoenix dances the world. Phoenix cries the world. A divine phoenix condensed from Phoenix rescues the world quickly met the heavy mountain formed by the fist suppressing the earth fist technique. Boom! In just the second head-on collision, the divine phoenix was directly shattered by the heavy mountain. Then, the power of the attack did not decrease at all and continued to blast toward the white-haired old man. The divine phoenix condensed from Phoenix dances the world relied on its beautiful dance to form 9 flame energy shields to gradually resist the tearing power formed by the fist technique. A total of 9 flame energy shields only lasted for 2 seconds under the tearing power before they were all torn apart. The fist technique, whose power was only reduced by a quarter, continued to blast toward the white-haired old man. Caw! The divine phoenix condensed from Phoenix Cries. The world used the Phoenix Cries martial technique that resounded through the sky to attack the fist technique that contained the terrifying power of shattering. The fist technique that contained the power of shattering the void shattered with irresistible force. After the continuous Phoenix Cries completely ground the divine phoenix into powder, the fist technique blasted toward the white-haired old man without any decrease in power. When the white-haired old man saw that he could not even buy time after using the 3 strongest fist techniques of his bloodline inheritance, endless fear emerged in his heart. A fierce cold light flashed in his eyes. After the fist technique had reduced the pressure of the heavy mountain, the white-haired old man directly rushed to the mansion square. He planned to use the lives of countless people to resist the 3 fist techniques that were enough to kill him so that he could hold on until ancestor Feng Qing, who was in the middle of the 7th grade martial emperor realm, woke up and rushed over. Seeing that the ancestor planned to sacrifice their lives to resist the fist technique that even Emperor Wu was not a match for, more than 7,000 people of the Lung family in the square gritted their teeth and cursed the white-haired old man. At the same time, they gathered all their strength and desperately attacked the heavy mountain that was quickly smashing toward them. More than 7,000 experts of the martial sage realm joined forces, and the power of the attack was far beyond the limit that the heavy mountain could withstand. In the end, when it was about 100 meters away from the mansion square, it was blasted into pieces overnight. However, before the people in the square could cheer loudly, the invisible fist breaking the sky and fist breaking the Milky Way directly blasted into the crowd in the square. Chapter 1565. In the Qinling Mountains, in the Ling family's mansion, more than 7,000 members of the Ling family turned ghastly pale as they stared at the bloody mist in the square. Some of the weaker ones even flew up, trying to escape from the Ling family's mansion. However, just as they flew to the edge of the mansion, streaks of sharp sword qi that contained a destructive aura directly minced those Lung clan members who wanted to escape into powder. "That's a powerful trap formation," the white-haired old man shouted at Yu Haoran with a gloomy face as he watched more than 100 members of the Ling family being killed by countless streaks of sword auras. Are you going to wipe out the Ling family today? 5 minutes ago, Meng Yao and I had a wedding ceremony in a tower deep in the Qinling Mountains. Yu Haoran straightens up Zhou Mengyao on his back. He steps into the mansion of the Ling family and says with murderous intent. Meng Yao left in advance, but as her husband, I, Yu Haoran, swore that I would bury all 73,537 members of the Ling family with her so that she could leave safely. Yu Haoran, apart from the 7,000 martial saints here, the rest of the Ling family are mostly old, weak, sick, orphans and widows. Do you really have the heart to kill them? An old man at the peak of the 7th rank of the martial saint realm, whose hair was white and was nearing the end of his life, shouted with a trembling body. That's right. Yu Haoran nodded without any change in his expression. Men, women, old, young, disabled, sick, and weak, kill them all. Yu Haoran, you're not human. You're an executioner from the dynasty, a devil from the north, a demon from hell. After receiving Yu Haoran's cold and merciless reply, the white-haired old man cursed and scolded with a sorrowful expression. You'll die a tragic death sooner or later. Old man, are you heartbroken to see your family and friends about to be killed? Facing the old man's rebuke and curse, Yu Haoran forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and asked. Then, as a member of the Lung family, Lin Mengyao, have you ever thought about how I, Yu Haoran, felt when her soul was being refined and her blood drawn? Yu Haoran, Zhou Mengyao's death has nothing to do with our Lung family. Why do you want all the 70,000 people of our Lung family to die with her? The old man who had been beaten by Yu Haoran for many years interrogates him with grief and indignation. Old man, how do you know that this matter has nothing to do with the Ling family? Yu Haoran asked with a sneer. Yu Haoran, as long as Cold Cloud and the others use the method of burning their phoenix blood to awaken the 3 Emperor Wu powerhouses from their slumber, the 3 Emperor Wu realm fellows will be affected by my secret technique and die under the burning of their ancestors' bloodline. Yu Haoran had just questioned the old man when the tower spirit quickly returned to his sea of consciousness and reminded him. Thaling's timely return and reminder not only filled Yu Haoran with endless confidence in annihilating the Lung family, but also gave him enough means to expose everything that Cold Cloud had done to Meng Yao. Evidence! Faced with Yu Haoran's shout, the old man stretched out his trembling hand and said, Yu Haoran, take out evidence that Meng Yao's death is related to the Ling family, and this old man will believe you. Old man, if I can take out evidence, then what can you do for me? Yu Haoran, who did not immediately take out the evidence, continued to ask with a sneer. Yu Haoran, as long as you are able to produce solid evidence, then regardless of who killed Miss Meng Yao, this old man will order the few elders of the punishment hall to make him pay with his life for Miss Meng Yao's death. The old man who had been beaten to death lightly patted his chest and guaranteed. After sizing him up, Yu Haoran spoke in a doubtful tone, You're only a peak 7th grade martial saint, an old man with 1 foot in the grave. The 3 elders of the Ling family who have real power are my sons, the 2 great elders of the 3rd tribulation Emperor Wu realm are my younger brothers, and the 7 hall masters who control 1/3 of the family's power are my grandsons. Faced with Yu Haoran's doubts, the old man who had been in charge of the dynasty arrogantly introduced himself and asked in return, Yu Haoran, do you think I have the right to decide the fate of the Ling family? Just as the old man's question fell, 3 incomparably miserable howls suddenly rang out from the depths of the Ling clan's mansion. Hearing the familiar screams, the white-haired old man of the Emperor Wu realm could not help but change his expression. He immediately flew into the air and planned to enter the mansion, but Cold Cloud and the other 8 people rushed out in panic. Patriarch, what exactly happened? What happened to the 3 ancestors? The white-haired old man appeared in front of Cold Cloud and asked with a gloomy expression. Screech, screech, screech. Just as Cold Cloud was about to explain, the miserable screams from the depths of the mansion stopped, followed by 3 phoenix cries that resounded through the sky. Accompanied by the cries that resounded through the sky, 3 giant phoenixes that were more than 1,000 meters long soared into the sky from the depths of the mansion. Burning soul and refining blood. Seeing the 3 giant phoenixes burning with white flames, the white-haired old man cried out in horror. Thaling, thank you! Seeing Thaling use the same method to make the 3 strongest ancestors of the Ling family suffer the same fate as Meng Yao, Yu Haoran, who was grateful, thanked Thaling in his sea of consciousness. Yu Haoran, I have already left a spiritual thought imprint in the bodies of the 3 fellows. Ignoring Yu Haoran's thanks, Thaling reminded him, excitedly. At that time, not only will they suffer the same pain as Meng Yao, but they will also use their painful deaths to give you the hope of advancing your divine soul and origin energy to Emperor Wu's realm. The essence blood of the divine phoenix. Without much guessing, Yu Haoran knew what the hope of assisting his origin energy and soul power to advance to Emperor Wu's realm was. That's right. Nodding his head in confirmation, Thaling explained further excitedly. Yu Haoran, those 3 fellows are not only almighty experts at the advanced level of Emperor Wu, but the divine phoenix bloodline in their bodies has also been activated to almost 70%. The essence blood of the divine phoenix extracted from burning soul and refining blood is enough to assist your origin energy and soul power to advance to the peak of Emperor Wu's 4th stage, or even to the early stage of Emperor Wu's 5th stage. The benefits of the essence blood of the divine phoenix soothed Yu Haoran's sorrowful mood. Chapter 1566. In the Qinling Mountains, inside the Ling family's mansion, Yu Haoran asked with a solemn expression as he lowered his head to look at the white-haired old man. "Old man, are you a man of your word?" "Yu Haoran, if this old man punishes young Miss Meng Yao's murderer, will you let my Ling clan off?" The old man, who was in the prime of his life, asked with a solemn expression. Of course. Yu Haoran nodded. He had learned that the 5 beast emperors were gathering all the beasts in the Qinling Mountains after the 3 most powerful ancestors of the Ling family were killed. "If I'm satisfied with the way the Ling family punishes the murderer, then I, Yu Haoran, promise you that I won't hurt the other members of the Ling family." "All right, then this old man will also guarantee you that as long as you can produce irrefutable evidence, then according to the Ling clan's rules, the culprit who killed young Miss Meng Yao will have his cultivation crippled, and then receive the severe punishment of being hacked into pieces." The white-haired old man made his own promise after receiving Yu Haoran's promise. "This is a memory crystal. It's part of Meng Yao's memory after she burned her soul." Yu Haoran took the crystal from Faling's hand. Grief surged in his heart again. He introduced the crystal in a low voice. Although he had been arguing with the white-haired old man that he had nothing to do with what happened to the 3 ancestors, Cold Cloud had been paying attention to Yu Haoran and the old man who was talking to Yu Haoran. Cold Cloud's face turned pale when he saw Yu Haoran take out Meng Yao's memory crystal. He secretly took out a talisman of the highest level. "Old man, the evidence you want is in this memory crystal." After tossing the memory crystal to the old man, Yu Haoran continued to soar several dozen meters into the air. Then, he sat down cross-legged and waited for the old man to pass the final judgment on Ling Yun's fate. "Ling Jin, Ling Hua, Ling Mu, come here." Clenching the memory crystal in his hand, the old man turned around and shouted at the 3 middle-aged experts standing behind Cold Cloud. "Father!" Hearing the greeting of the old man, the 3 middle-aged powerhouses in different clothes hurriedly walked in front of the white-haired old man after excusing themselves. "This memory crystal records the process of Miss Meng Yao's death." Raising the memory crystal in his hand, the elderly man ordered a middle-aged man in a golden robe who had a rather old-fashioned temperament. "Ling Jin, since you're an elder of the family's disciplinary hall, you'll be the one to unlock the memory in this crystal." "Yes, father." After receiving the memory crystal from the old man, Ling Jin immediately mobilized his origin energy, intending to activate the memory crystal. However, Cold Cloud, whose expression had changed, hurriedly stopped him. "Third Elder, stop." "Clan head, what's wrong?" Therefore, the old man changed his mind at the last minute and wanted to borrow Cold Cloud's hands to destroy the evidence, then find a few scapegoats to deal with it. However, he never expected that Yu Haoran would be so astute as to see through Cold Cloud's secret method of destroying the memory crystal. There's an ancient saying that one should not have a person who harms others, but one should always be on guard against others. Seeing that the other party's selfishness was attributed to a loss of judgment, Yu Haoran gave up on the idea of letting Cold Cloud be judged by the Ling family. Slowly standing up and taking out the memory crystal that had been replaced earlier, Yu Haoran mocked in disdain as he used his primary energy to activate the memory crystal in his hand. "Old man, it's a good thing that I had a backup plan and did not give you the real memory crystal. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Meng Yao's injustice would never be revealed to the world." As he channeled his primary energy into the memory crystal, images quickly appeared in the memory crystal. Among them, there was the scene of how Cold Cloud hid Meng Yao's blood phoenix physique from her secret method, how Cold Cloud aggravated the conflict between Meng Yao and the Ling family, how he secretly captured Meng Yao alive, and finally the scene of him using the secret method of soul burning and blood refining. It was Yu Haoran's first time seeing the events recorded in these jumping images. This made him unable to control the anger in his heart that he had been suppressing all this time, and he roared at the pale-faced Cold Cloud. Chapter 1567. In the Qinling Mountains, within the Ling clan's mansion, Yu Haoran's furious roar caused the 7,000 or so Ling clan members in the mansion's square to quickly recover from their shock. Recalling the scene displayed by the memory crystal, their gazes towards Cold Cloud were filled with disbelief and deep disgust. "Clan leader, what else do you have to say now?" Yu Haoran took the initiative to present irrefutable evidence to let the old man know that he had to quickly make a decision. Otherwise, the Lung clan that had lost 3 of their strongest ancestors would very likely encounter a truly unavoidable calamity of clan annihilation today. Anything could be faked, but the memory crystal condensed by the soul could not be faked. Therefore, Cold Cloud, who knew that he could not prove it, simply did not continue to hide it when faced with the old man's questioning. "That's right, I did kill Mengyao with my own hands. My goal was to obtain a drop of blood phoenix essence blood in her body." Cold Cloud raised his head to look at the thousands of clansmen in the square, and finally stopped at the old man who had questioned him earlier. There was a trace of madness in his eyes as he roared. "Elder Chun, do you think I'm doing this just for myself? Since the ancient times, our Lung clan has encountered a total of 9 clan annihilation crises. Although we have successfully survived with the special secret technique of our ancestors' bloodline, the clan's strength has been weakened to the extreme. Now, the clan only has 5 Emperor Wu ancestors who are in a state of hibernation. Not to mention the 4 great guardian clans that have martial god ancestors, even the Zhou and Shang clans that have more than 20 Emperor Wu ancestors and demigod-level experts watching over them. Our Lung clan is not just a little bit inferior." Cold Cloud turned his head to look at the white-haired old man who was Emperor Wu, his eyes filled with anticipation as he asked, "I'm sure Ancestor Junming knows best just how heaven-defying the effects of the blood phoenix essence blood on the cultivation and strength of our Ling clan members are." "That's right, I know." In the face of Cold Cloud's interrogation, Ling Junming nodded to confirm and explained to the people present in detail. With the clan chief's talent and potential, a single drop of the blood phoenix's blood essence would allow him to break through to the martial emperor realm in 10 days, reach the peak of rank 9 martial emperor realm in 20 years, and become a demigod in 50 years. Ancestor Junming is right. If I, Cold Cloud, can become a demigod within 50 years, I'll be able to lead the Lung family to become a first-rate family in the Tianxian continent. After receiving confirmation from Cold Cloud, Ling Junming spoke in a selfless manner. "At that time, I'll be able to obtain countless resources with my powerful cultivation as a demigod. Then, I'll use these resources to help more of my clansmen become martial saints and Emperor Wu, or even become false gods." After that, he lifted his head and looked at Lin Mengyao who was behind Yu Haoran. 2 streams of tears rolled down from the corner of his eyes as he continued speaking with a sorrowful expression. "I, Cold Cloud, am not a cold-blooded person. How can I be so heartless as to kill my own flesh and blood? Everything that I'm doing now is for the Ling family. I'm doing this to restore the Ling family's supreme glory from ancient times." After listening to Cold Cloud's eloquent explanation, the disgust in the clansmen's eyes was gradually replaced by gratitude. They even had the urge to pledge their loyalty to Ling Junming. However, at this moment, there was the sound of clapping in midair. Clap, clap, clap. Everyone says that I, Yu Haoran, am a person who is eloquent and can talk the living to death and bring the dead back to life. However, after listening to what you just said, I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Yu Haoran stopped clapping and put away the memory crystal. "Yu Haoran, what do you mean?" One of the clansmen who was most affected by Cold Cloud's words immediately rebuked angrily after hearing Yu Haoran's seemingly praising but actually mocking words. Mengyao, after successfully activating the inheritance of the Blood Phoenix bloodline in her body, her talent and potential have directly advanced to the level of a top demon. She is not inferior to me, Yu Haoran. Ignoring the other party's rebuke, Yu Haoran turned his head and looked at Lin Mengyao, who was lying on his shoulder as if she was sleeping. He introduced her with a gentle expression. According to the speculation of a demigod senior, Mengyao, who has the inheritance of the Blood Phoenix bloodline, can break through the Emperor Wu realm in half a year, advance to the peak of the Emperor Wu realm in 5 years, and have a 70% chance of entering the martial god realm in 20 years. All of this is only because of the inheritance of the Blood Phoenix bloodline in her body. If she can receive the support of the hidden dragon fortune, as well as the help of a rare genius in alchemy like me, she will have the hope of entering the martial god realm in 10 years. Retracting his gentle gaze from Lin Mengyao, Yu Haoran looked at the over 7,000 people in the square, and finally stopped on Cold Cloud. He then asked with a cold smile. Cold Cloud, with Mengyao's personality of treating family as important as her own life, if the Lung clan is led by her, I'm afraid it won't just become a first-rate clan in the Tianqian continent. With the special relationship between Mengyao and I, Yu Haoran, the Lung clan's clansmen won't just break through the martial Venerable realm and Emperor Wu realm. Faced with Yu Haoran's continuous questioning, Cold Cloud couldn't help but take 3 steps back. At the same time, a thoughtful and suspicious look appeared in the eyes of the Lung clan's clansmen. Cold Cloud, no matter how extravagant your words are, you can't hide your selfish actions. Your human nature is worse than a pig or a dog. You will die without a doubt. Ignoring the change in attitude of the Lung clan's clansmen, Yu Haoran made a conclusion about Cold Cloud's character and destiny. Yu Haoran, even if everything you said just now was true, so what? Cold Cloud, who was already powerless to refute, was too lazy to continue refuting. He also didn't want to argue for the sake of his clansmen who would never have any interaction with him in the future. At the same time, he said proudly as he felt the energy of the escape talisman that had been successfully activated. Anyway, I've already obtained the blood essence of the Blood Phoenix in Lin Mengyao's body. Moreover, I can use the heaven-ranked escape talisman to leave your central region. Even if you want to kill me, you won't have the chance. When he felt the teleportation power formed by the escape talisman begin to pull his body away, Cold Cloud threatened even more proudly. Yu Haoran, you have the blood essence of the Blood Phoenix to upgrade your ancestral bloodline, as well as the storage device left behind by the 3 ancestors of the Emperor Wu realm. I have enough confidence to successfully advance to the peak of the 9th grade Emperor Wu realm within 5 to 10 years. It not only does it not affect the exotic beasts that are coming, it can't affect the exotic beasts attacking, it can even prevent those exotic beasts with other Eulultimas. After hearing the Tower Spirit's explanation, Yu Haoran nodded in agreement. After that, he set aside a small portion of his divine sense to continue observing the movements of the exotic beast. The rest of his attention was focused on Ling Yun, who was captured alive by Ling Jin and the other 2. Although Ling Yun's strength was slightly higher than Ling Jin and the other 2, the terrifying teleportation power formed by the escape talisman and the violent impact and rebound force formed when it collided with the hard barrier formed by the trapping formation instantly caused him to suffer very serious injuries. At the same time, his inability to escape from the Ling family's mansion was a huge blow to his mind. He couldn't accept it and stood there in a daze. In the end, he was easily captured by Ling Jin and the other 2. Cold Cloud, the evidence of you killing Miss Mengyao is conclusive. Do you admit to your crimes and plead guilty? Seeing Ling Yun being pressed back to the square, the old man who had been beaten by the Emperor suddenly took a step forward and asked with a fierce expression. In response to this, Ling Yun, whose eyes were lifeless and mind was in a trance, only raised his head to look at the old man in a daze. He did not say anything. Admitting to it is the same as admitting to it. The old man was in a hurry to punish Cold Cloud severely to resolve the violence in Yu Haoran's heart and prevent the Ling family from being exterminated. Thus, the old man arbitrarily decided that Cold Cloud was guilty. Afterwards, the old man looked around at the clansmen in the plaza. His gaze returned to Cold Cloud, and he coldly announced his verdict. According to the rules of our Lung family, those who harm clansmen will have their cultivation crippled and thrown into the death row. Those who harm clansmen of the direct line of descent will have their cultivation crippled and be cut into pieces. At this point, the old man looked at Lung Jin and ordered with a cold expression. Lung Jin, as the elder of the disciplinary hall, I'll leave the punishment to you. Yes, father. Although Lung Jin's temperament was old-fashioned, he wasn't someone who didn't understand human relationships. His father was in such a hurry to judge Lung Yun's crimes, and even used the crippling of his cultivation to deal with him, because he hoped to use this method to protect the inheritance of the Lung clan. Therefore, although he was unwilling to personally punish Cold Cloud, who was deeply loved by the Lung family, in order to cooperate with his father's plan, he nodded without hesitation. Then, he destroyed Cold Cloud's dantian and sealed Cold Cloud's consciousness. Seeing that Lung Jin crippled Cold Cloud's cultivation, the old man cupped his hands and gestured to Yu Haoran. Elixir Emperor Yu, what do you think of the result of this old man's punishment? Yu Haoran asked with a mocking look in his eyes as he looked at the old man with a slight smile. So what if you're satisfied? So what if you're not? If Elixir Emperor Yu is not satisfied, you can state your request and this old man will consider it. As if he did not hear the sarcasm in Yu Haoran's tone, the old man cupped his hands and said with a smile. If you are satisfied, Elixir Emperor Yu, can you keep your promise and remove the trap array that is surrounding the Ling family's residence? Ha ha! Hearing the old man's shameless request, Yu Haoran could not help but laugh wildly. After the wild laughter stopped, Yu Haoran suddenly scolded with a gloomy face. Old man, when Ling Yun destroyed the memory crystal, you didn't remember the promise between us. When Ling Yun activated the escape talisman and planned to escape from the Lung clan's residence, you also didn't remember the promise between us. Now, when you are in a desperate situation, don't you feel that it is too late for you to remember our promise? Elixir Emperor Yu, I have already explained. Cold Cloud destroyed the memory crystal by mistake. As for why I did not stop Cold Cloud from using the escape talisman in time, do you think that I, an old man who is only at the peak of the 7th grade martial saint, have the ability to stop a peerless expert who is at the peak of the 9th grade martial revered realm? After hearing Yu Haoran's question, the old man immediately had a bad feeling in his heart and hurriedly explained. Old fellow, no matter how extravagant your explanation is, you will not be able to hide your selfish ambitions. At the same time, you can forget about changing the fate of your Lung clan being annihilated today. Ignoring the old man's explanation, Yu Haoran roared with a murderous aura. Elixir Emperor Yu, don't be angry. Please listen to this old man. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.